Hey everyone, Ignited here. I just wanted to give a heads up that this video contains flashing lights, so if you're sensitive to that, I'd recommend skipping this video. This video also contains heavy cursing, so if that's an issue for you, I'd recommend getting out of here. Anyway, why don't we actually get into the video? With my cringy as hell opening. What a damn idiot. Floor it, will ya? Shoot. By the way, you're fired after this job. Hello everyone, and I'm your host, Ignited Knight. And, well, it's been a while. You might be questioning why exactly I'm currently within the back of a van. Don't worry, I didn't get kidnapped. Rather, this idiot over here is driving me back from a job. While we wait for me to arrive back home, why don't we talk about a topic that I care about, such as my latest hyperfixation, that just happening to be Piggy. Piggy is a Roblox game released in 2020. Man, that was 6 years ago, and now I'm feeling old. Anyway, so yeah, it is an escape horror game. There are two classes, I guess I would call them. That being the Piggy, though technically speaking they are called infected. Their goal is to kill all the survivors. And then we have all the survivors, whose goal is to unlock doors and eventually unlock an exit to win. It's a pretty simple concept that has a weird amount of lore. And, well, I am interested in finding out something. Does Piggy still hold up? Does it still stand the test of time? I'm going to be going through every single chapter in this video. Yes, even chapters that aren't a part of the main two books. Something else I'm going to be trying to figure out within this video is also why exactly I keep on coming back to Piggy. I've come back to it a fair few times now, and I would love to figure out why. So let's see if it still holds up. Beginning with... Chapter 1 opens up with us trying to track down a missing kid named George. We arrive at his home and then get knocked out. We're then forced to escape. Pretty basic setup, but it works. Right off the bat, I love the feeling of certain rooms, like the dining room and the kitchen. They feel like parts of a house. But there also are some areas that are just completely empty. It just kind of feels a bit lazy. Like the parents don't even have a bedroom. It feels like that empty space could have been used for the parents. There's also just a random tunnel in the basement. Like, it's not like it's an air vent or something, like I assume the other ones were. No, there just is straight up a random tunnel that leads to the backyard. I understand the point of it is to make sure that Piggy can't camp the basement, but I feel like there's other ways of doing this without having just a random air vent. Now, I must of course bring up the fact that this map isn't actually a Piggy original. It's from a game called Granny, which I've admittedly never played, so maybe this makes more sense there, but still, I feel like there is a better way to make this map look. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, I'd put it at around B tier. It's a pretty average map, all things considered. It's a good standard in my opinion. Anyway, after you escape, you question what the fuck that damn thing was, where you decide to go get help from the cops. Even though you are a cop, you probably have a radio. Anyway, which leads us into... Chapter 2 opens up with us arriving at the police station and being informed over the PA that there is a monster inside the building, and now we must escape. This is a pretty basic setup, but it still is a good setup. Anyway, I love the design of this map, I must say. I like how it kind of feels lived in. There's tons of prison cells in there that are just empty, heavily hinting that there was some kind of escape. And that is definitely not foreshadowing for something that's going to happen in the future. Anyway, this is also when they start doing the notes. Pretty much it's just extra lore. I'm not really going to cover it in the lore segments of this video, but still. So, the Piggy on this chapter kinda sucks. This is an early Piggy design, so it makes sense, but a lot of these early designs aren't that good. It's a sad thing, but there's not much we can do about it. Though Minitoon has recently updated a few, and I kinda hope he updates more of them in the future, but time will tell. We also, during this chapter, get a really nice twist on the formula for escaping, where when you get the door open, you aren't immediately allowed to escape. Instead, you have to now fuel up a car, introducing us to one of our new characters, Dog. He's a dog. There's not much else really to say about him. He doesn't really have much of a personality. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, I'd put it at A tier. It's honestly kind of better than House, due to the fact that it actually feels like a police station. Crazy. Anyway, after you escape, you and Doggy talk about, well, what the fuck's going on right now. Obviously the two of you are very confused by two of these monsters who've shown up already. And then he questions how much gas was in that gas can, leading us into... Chapter 3 opens up with us being surrounded, and on top of that our car is out of gas, so we decide to run through the gallery to get the fuck away. I must say this is a really good mixture of both gameplay and of course looks. The map feels like a gallery while still having plenty of gameplay elements to make it fun to play on, which in my opinion is how all Piggy maps should be. Anyway, the Piggy on this level used to actually be one of the worst skins in the game, but now is honestly really high quality, I must say. It looks really good, and is a part of the reason of why I hate the Mother Pig skin. I also like how the setting is used to help hide away items on the map. And part of the map, there's like this egg puzzle where you put 3 fancy eggs, which feels like something that would actually be in a gallery, though it's executed better in other levels, you'll see later on. Now, of course, I must address the elephant. No, not you. So, pretty much, this level can be skipped over, which is really sad, because it's actually one of the better looking maps during this early half. Let me explain. So, pretty much, the problem is that nothing important in the lore happens at all during this chapter. Literally nothing. This is all because of the fact that they had to add these lore after the chapters had already come out, so they didn't really have time to work it in. This is due to the fact that Piggy didn't really have much of a story during the beginning, which is kind of sad because these are the chapters that are going to introduce you to the Piggy storyline. And sadly, some people may not have played the game because of the fact that the first 3 chapters storyline kinda sucks. And honestly, it takes a while for the storyline to actually get set up. So yeah, we're in for a bumpy ride, let's just say. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, I'd put it in B tier. This would be higher if it wasn't for how it does nothing for the storyline. So yeah. Anyway, after you escape, you and Doggy have a talk about an arrest you guys did in the alleys, which is totally not foreshadowing. And then you two decide to go try to find some place to hide out, which leads us into... The chapter opens up with the player character and Doggy hiding out in a forest log cabin, where the two of them discuss how those creatures were once people at one point, but are incredibly hostile all of a sudden. Where Doggy tells the player to go to sleep, and the two of them go to sleep, and we hear the Doggy barking. Right after which, the player character wakes up to go find him, with a strange potion-looking bottle just laying there where they were sleeping. Anyway, to begin, this map features 2 Piggies. One is our, well, standard one that chases us around. Once again, it is suffering from the Book 1 models, as a lot of these early models kind of suck. This is before they start doing unique models for each one, so yeah. I'm almost certain this character will not be important later on. Foreshadowing is a literary device in which... Anyway, the other one is Doggy. Yeah, turns out he's been turned into one of those things. And honestly, he has wasted potential. We don't see enough from him for me to even care about this, I'll be genuine. He just doesn't have much of a personality, so it doesn't really matter to me that much. Anyway, to get on other aspects of the map, I like how it feels abandoned, but also not too abandoned. There's a ton of areas that feel like they were lived in at one point, but it doesn't feel like a lot of people were there, which would make sense because I don't think it was like summertime and most of the time cabins would be getting used. Instead, it was probably fall or something. I don't know. All I know is it was not summer. I also like how it shakes up how the escape method works. Instead of having us just repair one electronic door, you have to go around the map and find 3 of them. Little things like this make the map stand out a little bit. Honestly, this map is overall really good. A complaint I do have is the tower, as it's very easy to get trapped up there if you have a bigger Roblox avatar, but still, it's a really good map. If I had to give it a ranking, this is our first ever S tier map. Anyway, after you escape, this is when the storyline actually starts up. As you find a radio on the ground, there's someone calling for help. Someone who's going to be pretty important for the storyline. But anyway, this leads us into Chapter 5 opens up with us having a conversation with the man on the radio, as he pretty much just tells us to go inside the school to rescue his friend. He also reveals his name is Mr. P. And so, we go inside. Right off the bat, I have to say that this level really feels like an abandoned school. It just... I don't know how to describe it. There's just tons of stuff that makes it feel abandoned. Knocked over lockers, how there's just a ton of random items in the way. It truly feels abandoned. On top of that, the design for the Piggy in this chapter is, well, another remodel of the base design. It's kind of annoying, but also there's not much we can do about it, so we're just gonna have to live with it. Man, this character is probably not gonna be important, right? Foreshadowing is a literary device in which... Anyway, another very important thing happens in this chapter. We get introduced to another new character. The person trapped in the school is revealed to be someone named Bunny. Yeah, I think Minitoon just sucks at names because at this point it's just blatant. Wait until later. Anyway, so yeah. She's pretty much just a replacement for Doggy. There's not much really to her at this moment. She will be important later on, trust me. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, I'd put it at B tier. It's a pretty standard level, not much really special about it. Anyway, after you escape, you meet Mr. P, who is a giant potato. Yeah, don't question it. And then, your player character suddenly feels very sick and blacks out. Where then we reawake on some kind of stretcher, I guess, as we're being brought to a hospital, where we see a hallucination of Doggy, and then that leads us into... Chapter 6 opens up with us awakening, only to learn that we need to get the fuck out of the hospital from Bunny. Apparently Mr. P's waiting on the roof for us. Pretty simple setup, but still. Good news is, this chapter actually has a unique design for the Piggy. Yeah, crazy. Well, yes, it is the basic model. It's still better than the last, I don't know, couple of chapters, excluding the gallery, because that one got updated recently. Once again, this map is on point for feeling like an abandoned hospital. There's just tons of debris around, and stuff like that. There's not much, though, I can really say about the chapter itself. I mean, it's good, but, I mean, it's not much really interesting about it. Like, what can I say? If I had to give it a ranking, I'd put it at A tier. It's really good of a chapter, it's just not very interesting to talk about. Anyway, after you escape, you and Bunny learn that Mr. P has left Wheels behind. And this is when we realize that he's actually evil for some reason. It's never stated, but he is evil. He's the reason why all these monsters have been showing up. It's weird. Before you leave, though, Bunny notes the note, and that's where the chapter ends off. So, let's get into... Chapter 7 opens up with the player character and Bunny trying to get a train, well, working. They've gone down to a subway, not the restaurant where Bunny needs to rest from. And we also get access to Bunny's crossbow as our replacement for the gun on this level. Neat. Right off the bat, I must talk about the Piggy on this level because I love his design so much. Zombie just looks so good. I know it doesn't make sense very much canon-wise, it honestly was a weird point of contention on what the fuck was up with him for a while, but it's still just a great skin. I love how just a chunk of his face is just decaying. I love how he's just carrying around a random guy's arm. Like, I don't know where he got it from, but he did get a random arm. Kind of metal, honestly, but still. And I love how he's the inverted color. Like, if you increase the color slider, I don't know exactly what it is, I'll show it off on screen, but if you do that, his, like, colors go back to a normal, like, look of a Piggy. I love that so much. Something else I like is how one of the things you need to do to get an item is use a vending machine. I just love that so much. This is the type of environmental storytelling I love. They could have just thrown this, like, behind a locked safe, but no, they put it behind a vending machine, which I love so much. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, I'm putting it at A tier. It's honestly a really solid level, all things considered. And I'm about to sound like a broken record. Anyway, after you escape, you tell Bunny the train's working when it's revealed that she took a potion. By the way, this is the first ever time it's revealed that potions are what caused the infection. Which is quite weird, but I guess it makes sense. Which kind of makes me question how the hell Teacher got infected. Like, we'll learn how Doggy got infected later on, but Teacher makes no sense at all. Like, who gave her the potion? I guess these are mysteries we're going to have to answer at another time. And this level also reveals one of my biggest complaints about player's character. After he learns that Bunny gets infected, he doesn't show any characterization. Sure, we can tell that he's, like, sad, obviously, but he just doesn't show anything. It's kind of weird. Now, obviously, this is to make him, like, a blank slate, but I feel like there are ways of doing a blank slate character while still giving them a bit of personality. I mean, for fuck's sake, you could have just thrown on the train, like, a scene on the train where the player character vows to get revenge for what Mr. P has done. At least then you have a bit of characterization, a smaller character arc in there. I don't know. I'm just saying my piece. So, yeah, I guess that leads us into... Chapter 8 opens up with the player character arriving at the tunnel, vowing to find Mr. P. But wait, ignited, doesn't that completely counteract your last point? No, it does not. Because he doesn't say what he's going to do. All I'm saying is, I want him to say, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Okay, not those exact words, but you get me. Anyway, this level has a little bit of a reputation, let's just say, as being the easiest fucking level in the game. Like, by God, it's far too easy. Like, genuinely. Especially when you consider that it's chapter 8 at this point, it should honestly be just a little bit more difficult. I must also, of course, talk about the things I like. I like Piggy. It's a pretty good one, all things considered. I like how it fits the theme of the map. Not much I really can say about it, just fits it. Another thing I like is how some of the puzzles are mixed into the environment. For example, you can repair a carnival roller coaster, which has a habit of bugging you out. I'll show a clip if you get it. One of those test your strength things are also there, and of course, those weird-ass, oh, shoot the target down puzzles. Hey, why are those so popular in carnivals anyway? I also do like how the other Piggy on the map is just trapped in fucking cage. hinting at this mysterious group called TSP, which is totally not going to play a part later on. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, this is going fucking tier, okay? The map has good design, but it fucks up on every other. Anyways, after you escape, you encounter two new characters, Zizzy and Pony, the most important characters that will be in the rest of this game. Initially think you're infected, but you aren't, and tell you that they have a small survivor camp that you can go to. And after the motherfucking bitch-ass fox shows up, motherfucking bitch-ass Pony. And so, he beats the thing over the head with a fucking wooden sword, which honestly implies that that sword is very sturdy. Anyway, this leads us into Chapter 9 opens up with Pony and Zizzy showing us the safe house's location, and we decide to get inside. Right off the bat, I must say this level is also infamous, but for completely different reasons. It was well known to be one of the most difficult levels in Piggy, to a point where when me and my friends originally played it, we had to just have me Piggy just so that we could beat it. But anyway, what I will say is that it truly feels like a post-apocalyptic city. The amount of cars all around the place truly makes it feel like that. On top of that, the Piggy is, once again, really good. Now sure, it's just an elephant, but also it actually plays into the lore a bit for this chapter, as her business is right next to the place. Other Piggy expands the Piggy family, as it is a pig. Surprising, I know. One being the grandmother, who once again has a business inside the city. Yeah, this is actually, really good. Also, I like how the map switches out the standard keys for key cards instead. It just makes it feel a bit more like this is a city and not where we've been just outside of town places. And once again, lazy ass, bitch ass Pony, just sitting there waiting for us to give him a carrot just so he can hit a wooden plank. My god, this guy is so lazy. And let's not even talk about how Zizzy needs her weed to be able to do it. But still, if I had to give this level a ranking, I'd put it at B tier. It's a pretty good level, all things considered. Especially when we get into the next part. After you escape, you, Zizzy, and Pony get to pretty much just talk about what you did pre all the shit happening. The player character says he was a cop. Make note of this, by the way. Zizzy says she was just trying to take care of her sisters, and Pony wanted to be I cannot pronounce his word for the life of me, so I'm calling it an eye doctor. The player character catches the rest of the gang up to speed on that Mr. P is making these weird potions, and they're making people into monsters. Keep note of this, by the way, where we hear someone, I'm assuming, rummaging through a trash can or something, and Zizzy and the player decide to go chase after them, which leads us into Chapter 10 opens up with the player character and Zizzy arriving in front of a mall, where the player character asks, why would anyone hide out in here? And I'm like, well, the mall's actually a really good place to hide out in, so I don't know why you didn't think about it, but still. We need to talk about how this mall feels. It looks like a place that is run down, but also not too run down, it's clear that this is still, early apocalypse once again, which is really good to see in its own design. It doesn't feel like a full-on post-apocalypse like the city. There's still parts of it that feel like it's, been touched recently, but it feels like it is abandoned. Another thing we must talk about is, of course, the Piggies. The Piggies on this level are Robbie, which is a robot mall defense security unit, which I love so much. It's just this little bit of world building. It's clearly set up that the Piggy world is advanced, especially when you consider that it's set in the 90s. Yeah, crazy, I know. And the other Piggy on this level is Mousy, someone who just crawls around the vents. And also, her official skin hints that she chopped off Robbie's legs, which is the most metal thing I've ever heard from this game. Actually, who am I kidding? This game's kind of metal, honestly. Also were 2 free skins you can get from this map. There was Holy, which is this guy, and the prototype, which I'm not going to go into how to get any of these skins because it's way too complicated for me and can't get Polly anymore, so yeah. By the way, this is my favorite map, so where do you think it's going to get placed? S tier, obviously. Anyway, after you escape, you encounter the person who ran off, and turns out it's Georgie. Yeah, remember him? The guy who was brought up once at the beginning and once before then? Yeah, he hasn't really been that important, but it's still really nice to see him return. Yeah. He pretty much just gives some exposition about how he got here. But he came to the city after his family started acting weird after going to get the potion from Mr. P. This attempted cure for something. It's his wife's disease. Yeah, he has a wife. None of this is stated, by the way. It takes a ton of loops. And honestly, this once again brings up my key problem with the Piggy storyline. That being that it should have had these early setup chapters that could have been used to set up all of this. But, not much we can do about it now. Anyway, afterwards you tell Georgie that he can come stay with you guys. Until you can hopefully find the person who did this. Anyway, after you arrive back at the safe house, you find lazy bitch-ass Pony and Zizzy's sisters, Z and Zuzi. I cannot tell the difference between the two of them. And two random motherfuckers, which we aren't going to learn about the names till Book 2. They reveal that they found a signal that is going to lead them to where Mr. P is. So they're going to go there and, I'm assuming, whoop his ass. Anyways, that leads us into Chapter 11 opens up with the player, Zizzy, and motherfucking bitch-ass Pony arriving at the outpost, ready to beat the shit out of Mr. P. Right off the bat, we need to talk about the piggies on this map because they're great. The first one is Torture, and he just fits this map so much. It makes sense that a military outpost would need a pyro from TF2. I mean, it just makes sense. And his design is really good. For the longest time, in fact, he was the most expensive skin in Piggy. Until Book 2 happened. We'll get into Book 2 later. And on top of that, the other piggies in the map make sense too. They are the soldier piggies. They emerge out of the ground, and there's a lot of them. Pretty much they just act as a small blockage that Zizzy goes around destroying as time goes on. It's mostly just gives Zizzy something to do. They don't really affect anything that much. The other thing I really like about this map is the fucking tank. Let me explain. On this level, you can just give a tank gas and a bomb, and then it will drive through a fence and shoot through a wall, which also leads us into my biggest problem with this map. So, in this map, there is a big reveal for the storyline. Problem is, it's not obvious. It's on the whiteboard right there. You see how it's gibberish? We have to do an entire sequence to decode it, where it reveals that the reason why there's so many of these creatures isn't because Mr. P is giving out potions, it's because he started an infection, like a zombie apocalypse. Which I think is stupid as hell that it's hidden behind this damn wall, okay? You should, at the very least, not have decoded it, needed to decode it. In my opinion, it should have been stated in dialogue. Once again, I bring up that if he had those extra chapters, he could have probably put that in there. But still, nothing to do about it. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, I'd put it at A tier. It's a pretty good level to consider. Anyway, after you escape, you, Zizzy, and motherfucking bitch-ass Pony all finally arrive at the door when Georgie shows up. He's showed up to fight Mr. P. He wants to find out what happened to his family. And on top of that, he has attracted a bit of a crowd. So, Zizzy and motherfucking bitch-ass Pony decide to stay back and fight them off while you and Georgie go to take him down. And when you find him, he's in a bit of a state. He thinks you two are hallucinations, and on top of that, he's mangled his body and turned it into a part machine, part potato. I can't believe I just had to fucking say that. Like a fucking potato. Anyway, he runs off and we chase after him, leading us into... Holy shit, what the fuck? Yeah, so... This is an in-between chapter between both Chapter 11 and Chapter 12. It was a limited time thing, so me too could have some more time to work on the next map. So for some reason he decided, oh yeah, well let's release these chapters weekly. Bright idea right there. Anyway, so the chapter opens up with Georgie awakening from, well, a nap, I assume, or some sleep. I don't fucking know, okay? Where he tries to get his sister's attention, but she's not there. So he goes to find her. And my god, this map is pretty good, all things considered. Off the bat, I gotta talk a little about the Piggy. The Piggy sucks on this map. It is a remodel of the base Piggy skin. I don't know why. It just, for some reason, is that. It literally feels like you could just reskin it from the base model and it would have been better. The worst part about this is that we're on chapter, technically 11. I guess this is, we'll call this 11.5. So I would expect a lot better from the skins. Anyway, I must compliment this map for feeling like an expansion on the original house map. This is one of the things that these little bonus chapters do very well, is expand on a map while still not feeling like they're just throwing shit there. In this, it's contextualized as a distortion by George's dream. Yeah, this is all a dream, by the way. It's not very many stakes to it. With this black ink stuff. Been the ink machine reference? Maybe. Who knows? But still. I also like how there's little notes written around. This is different from the main notes. They're just big old words, actually being able to be read without having to have a friend be the Piggy. I still think the note system is stupid. This lore should be shown, or you should at least be able to access the notes after the chapter ends. Sorry, I just don't like the note system. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, this is an easy A tier, okay? This is a really good level. Just peak. Peak expansion on an old map. It's just so good. Anyway, after you escape, Georgie sees Penny. And, well, wants to know why she's out here and shit. And then he collapses, his eyes start glowing, and it's revealed that it's all a dream. Honestly, there's not much to this map, story-wise. It's just kind of a little bonus thing. So anyway, let's get into the main event. Chapter 12 opens up with Mr. B giving this metal-ass speech.
I wish to be alone, but your memories continue to torment me. You're just as stubborn as I was when I tried to save my wife. But this time, I will stop you as I should have stopped myself. That's the end. Little note. This is crazy glazed. The voice is not that great. No!
Say thanks to Bean Man for voicing that. My god, I love his Mr. B voice. Anyway, after the cutscene ends, you and Georgie have to try to find a way to, you know, snap him the fuck out of his current manic state. And, oh my god, I love Mr. B's design. I was waiting to bring it up till now, but his design looks so good. He's mangled his body into machinery, and it's just so good. And the other Piggy on this level, the actual one, is also really good. It's Badgie. Love Badgie's design so much. I love how it looks like he's wearing a normal suit before all this, and how now he has part of what I'm assuming was the attempted cure on his arm, and he's using up that potion bottle as a weapon. I love it so much. It's just a perfect design. It feels like a true antithesis to this finale. And on top of that, the level does too. Oh, we have left the realistic maps like the city and the mall and a carnival to now this futuristic sci-fi building. It's just so good. I love how one of the rooms is suspended in the air too. Like, those are some pretty strong gliders, but even then it just makes it way cooler. And the other room, I love its design. It feels like a laboratory. That, I'm assuming that liquid right there is like some kind of chemistry liquid, but still. And also, fun fact, this is the map they used for RB Battles Season 3. You can't get it anymore, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah. Anyway, after you find 2 potion bottles, you're able to get a stick of fucking TNT. Jesus. where you place it in the middle, blow it up, and you're sent into some weird void thing. The distorted memory black ink there, containing 4 levels: the forest, the school, the metro, and the carnival, where you can find items to help you unlock the other ones. And you also find a photo of Mr. P's wife, which when you show it to him, finally snaps him out of it. And he pretty much talks about how he now remembers everything, why he did everything. His wife got sick with a disease and he was trying to cure it. It's rather simple, really. And Georgie attempts to kill him, but our player character talks him down, pretty much saying, if you kill him, you're no better than him. And I'm just saying, if the character had a bit of development, this would hit hard. Anyway, after that, Mr. P pretty much tells you to get out of here. The infected are going to start swarming here, and he's going to try holding them off. Where then you're given a choice between 2 endings, the good and the bad. The good ending, you go Georgie's way, where you leave Mr. P for dead, pretty much. Where you meet up with Zizzy and bitch-ass motherfucking Pony. Hey, editor ignited here. I forgot to mention that Pony and Zizzy confess their feelings for each other, so I guess they're a thing now? I don't know, there's not very much relationship stuff in this thing. Where you guys discuss what to do now, and Georgie suggests you guys make a cure. And the bad ending, where you go towards Mr. P, and Badgie fucking bashes you over the head. Because, of course, and you get infected, kill Mr. P, even though it doesn't make sense how you get infected, because you're gonna learn soon that you can't really get infected. And there also is the true ending. In the true ending, you first need to do a bunch of random bullshit, which I am not gonna do. Well, specifically not show you, I'm still gonna do it. I mean, how do you think I got footage for this? Anyway, pretty much in this one though, you go towards Mr. P, but instead of being bashed over the fucking head, you ask him pretty much how did this all happen. He reveals everything. When his wife got sick, he rushed a cure into development, putting all of his fortune into making this cure. Where ultimately he did make one, but it was unstable, and the doctor said he should not use it, but he didn't care, so he ran a test run on the Piggy family. Yes, Georgie's family were the first subjects of the cure, and after they showed that they improved in their health afterwards, he almost immediately gave it to Mrs. P. And after he learned what happened to the Piggy family, he rushed back home, but his wife was already infected. And he didn't have the heart to kill her, so that's what started the infection. Then afterwards, Bunny informed Mr. P that she had gotten scratched by an infected. And he gave her a potion trying to help her, but it didn't work. So that's why Bunny was given a potion. And on top of that, the reason why they left the hospital was because of the fact that the player character has trace amounts of the infection in their bloodstream, which implies that the player character is immune, but it's not stated quite yet. Anyway, after learning all of this, the ending pretty much proceeds as the good ending does, except Mr. P is revealed to survive. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get into the analyzing part. Okay, so Book 1. Overall, did I hate Book 1? No, I really didn't. Well, yes, I do think it has its issues. I give it a big excuse on my mind because of a few very important factors. One of the big ones being, well, this was Minitoon's first ever time writing a story. And on top of that, he didn't have a plan for it. He was literally making it up on the spot. So, do I give him an excuse for that? Yeah, obviously. And well, yes, I didn't like some levels during this chapter, such as Carnival. I think that the game overall during this first book is good. I just think that it has some rough edges. And I think that if Minitoon was writing Book 1 today, it would have been far better, and that's a compliment. That shows that he's improved his writing skills. And honestly, the fact that he was doing all this solo and releasing, well, mostly solo, he had IKEA to help with the maps, but still, he had a really small development team, is what I'm saying. Specifically, from my understanding, it was only 2 people who really were helping him with this, being himself and IKEA, who was making the maps, and Minitoon was mostly making all the story and cutscene stuff. So, yeah, for a solo project, and for a developer who had not really had that much experience up to this point, it is a really good game. I just think that it does have its rough edges, and we'll see those edges get refined in, well, Book 2. Speaking of which, after Book 1 ended, it took a while for Book 2 to come out, around the rest of 2020. And when it finally did come out, it was not well received during the beginning. And I cannot blame anyone, but that's the point of this review. So, why don't we get into it? Because I think I have some different opinions than you. So, let's get into it. Book 2, Chapter 1 opens up with the player character and Doggy, as they've arrived to arrest someone. It is also claimed here that the player character is a detective, not a cop. Honestly, you know what, I like it, it makes more sense. Anyway, so right off the bat, you can probably tell that this map is set pre-infection, which is actually a first, because we haven't really seen that up to this point. And the Piggy also fits in with this, where it is this guy. His name's Rash. I don't know why he's named Rash, all I know is that he's a raccoon, which is nice. I mean, he doesn't really have that crazy of a design, he looks like just a traditional robber, so yeah. Anyway, so let's discuss the map for a minute, because I love this fucking map so much. Oh my god. It's just such a good design. I love how it feels like a community inside of the city. A much smaller community, but still community. There's clearly space for people to live in inside of the alleys. And there's basically every single necessity these people would need around here. A laundromat, a store, I'm assuming this is a tech store, right? A restaurant, just tons of stuff that makes sense for this place. Another thing I like is the new items. During this, they introduced a ton of new items, such as a mop, a pair of scissors, and stuff like that. They're used occasionally throughout other maps, but they don't really play much of a role, but it still is nice to see more items get added, so yeah. Also, we see a new system get introduced for escaping, that being the code system. Pretty much just around the map, there's random numbers or some kind of symbol that you have to input around this little area. It's not really that complicated, unless you're playing Chapter 10, which... oh my god, it took me a while to figure that one out. Anyway, after you unlock this door, you then encounter some random wolf running. And then afterwards you have to go around and gather up the items that you've used throughout the map to use them again here. It's a nice little coming full circle. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, this is going in A tier. Really good level, all things considered. Juicy part of this map. Anyway, after you escape, you encounter a new character and my personal favorite character in Piggy, Willow Rant. You've arrived to arrest her for stealing things from throughout the city. She tries pleading with you, pretty much just saying that she needed to feed her family, but, well, the player character puts it simply. You can't just go around stealing shit. Okay, that's not their exact words, but still. And Rash is about to kill us, and then Willow pretty much just tells him to stand down. Man, I wonder if Rash is going to have any other impact on the storyline, perhaps maybe hinting towards a future faction? Foreshadowing is a literary device in which, anyway, after you arrest her, you and Doggy have a talk. Pretty much, you're not feeling right about this. You know, the whole arresting people who are struggling to survive. And we actually get a bit of Doggy's character. Yeah, I know, crazy. He's been dead and we're finally getting a bit of character development for him. Where he pretty much just says that we have our roles to play in life, and we can't change that. And after that, we then suddenly awake back in the safe house. I feel that this has all been a flashback the player character's been having. For some reason, I don't know. Exactly. They probably just regret it, but still. Anyway, motherfucking bitch-ass Pony and Zizzy are pretty much telling you that we need to go to the store, as finally I get to introduce these two as they actually play a role in the storyline, Mimi and Raffi. I don't know why the names are like this. Well, actually I know why. It's because it's originally based off of Peppa Pig, and Peppa Pig sucks at naming things, but still. Pretty much, you're going there to find two batteries to fix an old radio. Which then, of course, leads us into Book 2, Chapter 2, say that 5 times fast, opens up with the player character, Zizzy and bitch-ass motherfucking Pony, arriving at the store to get the batteries, and Pony's fat ass wants to get some fucking carrots. Because, of course he does. Anyway, right off the bat I have to compliment this Piggy's design, because it's nothing special, which is good. For the beginning of Book 2, it feels nice to have a simple design to come back to. I do think that having more creative designs later on is important, but right now this is a good, nice beginning point. Also, she is the first ever trans character, which is nice. Anyway, the thing I like about this map is how it kind of feels abandoned. Like, there's not that many functioning lights in the building, and in general it feels like it was sacked post-infection, which also implies that there was just some random carrot lying around, as Pony's fat ass will not move without that fucking carrot. At least with the grass, you know, you can excuse it. Another thing you may notice is that, well, Zizzy doesn't have her sword anymore. Yeah, there's no explanation for this. There's supposed to be one apparently, never really got it, so I guess Zizzy just dropped it down the toilet or something. But she still kicks ass without it, like, she just kicks the infected, literally. Like, she kicks the shit out of them. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, I'd put it at A tier. It's a really good level. Anyway, after you escape, you, Zizzy, and motherfucking bitch-ass Pony bring the batteries back, and you and the gang get the radio working. And then you use the radio, and you hear from another survivors team. They want to do a trade, and even though motherfucking bitch-ass Pony does not want to go, you guys decide to go anyway because you guys haven't seen anyone but the same 5 people for like months, and honestly I'm surprised no one has gone insane and started killing people yet. Anyway, you arrive at the meetup location, and it's revealed that it's a setup, and motherfucking bitch-ass Pony was right. Huh, I stand corrected. Maybe he's good for something after all. Anyway, she recounts how every single person here is wronged her other than Zizzy. Turns out, Pony was actually a former member and only know what the player did, but she doesn't know anything about Zizzy, so what does she do? She fucking kidnaps her. Jesus Christ, I love this character so much. Anyway, after Zizzy is taken away, you and Pony get to talking. Apparently, Pony did something really bad in the past that was what made him leave the group. And, well, the player character, we know what he did. Anyway, you all decide to go save Zizzy, leading us into Book 2, Chapter 3 opens up with the player and Pony arriving outside of, well, the refinery, and they decide to go inside. Right off the bat, I really like this opening, how you have to cut your way inside of the building. It's just a really simple thing that I really do like. The thing else I like is the Piggy's design. This is Tigery, a very important character for the future of this book, but still. His design during this level is pretty basic, but it still is nice, especially because we don't really see that many Piggy that are, well, not actually Piggies, but instead just normal people. So it's nice to see him be in this, I guess, very strange, small club, alongside Rash, and another character that's going to appear in the future, and Mr. P. So, yeah, it's a pretty small club, all things considered. Anyway, something that is a common complaint that I do very much agree with on this level is the guards. Throughout the map, there's a couple of guards stationed around there, and if you walk past them, they'll chase you around for a bit. Now, if you slow down, they'll kill you. But also, they walk, I think, a little bit slower than you, so it's very easy to outrun them. Honestly, it's not even really that bad, in my personal opinion, though I can see why that is a common complaint. Another thing that is kind of dumb on this level is the stairs on this level. yeah, the stairs are kind of stupid. The way that they're designed, they're actually difficult to climb up. Now, there is a future redesign of this map in the future, which does fix these stairs, but genuinely, these stairs suck so much, to a point where I don't think anyone would mind just completely removing these stairs and replacing them with the future versions. Anyway, after that, motherfucking bitch-ass pony decides, oh yeah, I need a carrot to climb inside this vent. So now you need to go fucking open up the gold safe just to get a carrot, so then he'll climb inside the fucking vent. Why? Because he's a piece of shit. Anyway, after you get inside this bottom area also, I do like this little card trick. It's simple, but still. Pretty much, Pony uses his toy card to distract him, which implies that this guy has either horrible ADHD or does not know what a car sounds like. But still, that is nice. Overall, if I had to give this level a ranking, I'm putting it at C tier. It's decent, all things considered. Definitely suffers, though, a bit from the stairs and the guards, though. But it is picked up a little bit by this cutscene, speaking of which. So, after you, I guess, well, not escape on this map, but rather open the exit, you and find Zizzy, obviously. She's beating the shit out of Hoilday, I guess? Kinda looks like him. Anyway, very happy to see her until she realizes that she's been scratched. Which, we all know what that means. She's infected. She pretty much just tells you guys to get out of there. She's gonna cause a distraction. I don't know if that's a hint towards future chapter. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Anyway. And, while Pony tries denying it, they can't. So, you all move on with this really nice scene. And this death works far better than most of the deaths in Piggy, because we actually know Zizzy as a character. We've gotten a book to introduce us to her, and an extra chapter during this book just to reintroduce us to her, which means that she matters. We also know her personal life, with her having two sisters that are now sisterless. It's really sad. And I also love this scene. There's no dialogue, but you can just tell that everybody knows something happened. And it's just such a good scene. Anyway, this leads us into Book 2, Chapter 4 opens up with us getting fucking bombed. And for some reason, Georgie's already had a bet implying that there was a bomb before this, which is insane to think how good the player slept through it. Anyway, the player creature gets up, and now we must escape, well, the safe house, which I guess is not really safe. Anyway, let's talk about the Piggy, and Jesus fucking Christ. So, this appears to be a mutilated infected, which is really insane, okay? I mean, wasn't expecting us to go that dark, but still, it also looks really good. Also, this segment had to be quickly rewritten, and let's talk about that real quick. So, during the production of this video, they released the redesign for Safe Place, which there isn't much of a redesign, but all that I need to talk about here is that I don't know what the gears and drills mean. I'm not a Piggy lore expert, okay? All I know is that someone in that safe place definitely mutilated that infected. Anyway, something I do like about the map is how genuinely it feels lived. You can, well, certain places are obviously destroyed because, well, there's explosives going off on the outside. Each room feels like someone did live in there. You can see certain things, like the player's cop uniform just in his room, which he shares with Georgie, which makes no sense. Actually, now that I think about it, it kind of does. I mean, they both entered the group around the same time, but they do just have an entire gymnasium there, so... I mean, perhaps maybe they actually use the gym. Who knows? Maybe that's how Pony's able to knock out an infected with a fucking wooden sword. Anyway, honestly, a lot of people complain about this level being hard, but I don't really see it personally. Now, at the same time, it is fucking Piggy, so there's not much you can really do to make it hard. I mean, it's a game that is on a platform that 5-year-olds can play, but still, it's not really that difficult, honestly. But also, I am kind of a sweat at this game, so yeah. Anyway, before I get to the ranking, you can, fun fact, leave Giraffe in that room, because no important item spawns there. Yes, you can just leave a man for dead. Anyway, hey, editor Ignited here, I forgot to mention a small bit of lore. Fucking Zizzy's sisters disappear. They'll be important later. I just forgot to bring it up, I'm a fucking idiot. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, this is going at B tier. I think it's a perfectly fine level. Nothing really special about it. I mean, it can be a bit difficult, but I'm kind of a picky sweat, so yeah. Anyway, after you escape, you find Willow and her entire gang there, ready to, well, take you away. Well, after a little moral argument where she brings up that you guys did kinda cause a accident at her, like, home for many of her people. They have to be relocated, and many of those people are going to starve, apparently. Jesus Christ. Like, we're just gonna ignore this from now on. Maybe she was bluffing. I really hope she was bluffing, but still, there's nothing confirming she wasn't. Anyway, she decides to take y'all in, and you're put in a prison cell with a small, strange little lid there that totally won't be important. Anyway, and then the gang apologizes to Pony for not listening to him. Damn, motherfucking bitch-ass Pony gets an apology? Huh. Maybe I should change his ranking from motherfucking bitch-ass. We'll consider that later. Anyway, after that's over, this leads us into Book 2, Chapter 5 opens up with Zizzy's sister showing up to help us. They kick through the mysterious metal grate in the floor. Man, honestly, why was that there? It doesn't make much sense. Anyway, so the player decides to go down there and help them find a way to get us out. Right off the bat, we gotta talk about the Piggy. It's a pretty basic one, all things considered, but it works in my opinion. I also like its new AI, as during this, the Piggies no longer just follow you around. They instead look for you, and when they spot you, they chase you around for a little while until you get out of their line of sight for a little. It's a nice system, and I kind of wish it was there from the beginning of the book, because I feel like a lot of these earlier chapters would be 10 times better with this new AI. So, those are some mysterious orange eyes you have. I wonder if those are going to play any point into the future of the storyline. Foreshadowing is a literary device in which, anyway, other thing I like is how partway through the level you have to drain out the bottom part of it. After all, it is a sewer, so it makes sense certain parts will be flooded, and it's nice to see this play into it. It expands the map a bunch just by unlocking that small part. Another thing is, Jesus Christ, Zizzy's sister can really beat the shit out of something. Like, I'm just saying, okay, like, that kid has some good strength. Honestly, a lot of the kids here have some pretty good strength. They're able to, like, knock out most things in one hit. Huh. Well, I guess they do have weaponry most of the time, so that probably assists. But even then, I don't think a 10-year-old could do that. Something that can survive bullets, I'm just saying. Another thing I like is the amount of graffiti around the map. It just looks nice. It makes the environment feel abandoned, once again. I think that's just like these little details that I really like to see on maps. These little touches to make a map feel like it's been abandoned for a while. It just takes a few of those little touches to make it feel good. Also, this mysterious classroom place with the weird eye symbol is quite interesting. I wonder if it has anything to play with future lore. Foreshadowing is a literary device in which, yeah, I think I'm starting to know this. Okay, anyway. If I had to give it a ranking, I'm putting this at A tier. It's a pretty good level, all things considered. Anyway, after you escape, you and the gang, well, run away. You get the prison door open and you get the fuck out of there. When Tiggery shows up, and he doesn't try to attack you. He actually spares you. This is a development for his character that will become very important in the future. But Willow does not care. So she shoots you, and Giraffe takes a fucking bullet. Jesus Christ. Man, that's fucked. He says it's to make up for what happened to Zizzy. Pony tells him that he's done enough, and the player character finally decides he's had enough of this and faces Willow head on, letting the rest of the gang and motherfucking bitch-ass Pony stays. Huh, nice. This leads us into our confrontation with Willow, leading us into Book 2, Chapter 6 opens up with the player character and motherfucking bitch-ass Pony facing off against Willow, where she brings up a good point. In fact, the player is currently unarmed, and Pony is too, and on top of that, something is crawling out of the sewers now too. So she decides to give us a head start, which starts us off in the chapter. Now, escaping on this chapter is a little bit different. In this chapter, in order to get the door open, you must give motherfucking bitch-ass Pony 3 swords to knock out Willow. But also, if you don't free any of the TSP members, then, well, you're gonna die. Literally, like, she shoots you. Now, for this segment, I'm only gonna be covering the Savior ending, because it is the most lore-rich ending, events-wise. A lot more happens in this ending. So, yeah. Thus forth, in this timeline, we save all of the TSP members. We don't just save a couple. Anyway, so why don't we talk about the Piggy on this map, which is pretty decent all things considered. Once again, the orange eye is written, but similar to the symbol instead of the affected eyes. I wonder if that's a detail that we should pay attention to. Anyway, another thing about this design I do like is how it actually makes sense. It makes sense a construction worker would be down in the sewers and then get trapped there during the infection. It works pretty well. Also, I must compliment how stupid the TSP members are. Okay, it's hinted that, like, something happened, like, magical happened to get them in these situations, but how the fuck did you get trapped behind that gate? How did you get bricks covered by the bricks? Actually, how are your fucking ribs not broken? Anyway, down to the question realism in the game with fucking pigs that try to kill you and more potatoes. Another thing I must say is Pony is a motherfucking mad lad. In fact, he has officially unearned the name motherfucking bitch-ass Pony. I can't believe this character development is happening. Anyway, for the level design itself, it's fine. Not much really to say about it though. I mean, it looks like a factory, which is better than some chapters in Book 2. So, yeah. If I had to give it a ranking, I'd put it at A tier. The lore kind of carries it in this part, which, speaking of the lore, after you escape and you've saved all the TSP members in this timeline, they stop Willow from shooting you. But Willow is still mad until Zizzy's sisters show up, where she learns that Zizzy had sisters and feels remorse. And on top of that, Tigery somehow hits the gun out of her hand. I don't know how the fuck he did that, but still. Then Mimi informs us that Giraffe is going to be okay, and the TSP member is off to take care of him. And then Willow reveals something. Turns out that there's a cure. Apparently, up north, they are working on it. She heard it over radio chatter and was planning on getting it for herself, but now she realizes that it matters more that Zizzy gets it. She agrees to take us, and we will have her gun, so she can't try any funny business. And so we're heading up north now with us and Mimi to go save Zizzy. But instead of it ending here, we actually get to see Willow's backstory. To put it simply, her parents got arrested, then a caretaker came to take care of them because, well, her parents were in jail. Then the caretaker got called for mandatory military service, and then Willow's brother ran away from home because of the fact that her caretaker, her name was Daisy, left home for the military service. Trust me, this will be important later, and also understanding her character. And actually, speaking of understanding the character, let's try out our new segment. A really strange segment where I talk about how fucking great of a character Willow Wolf is from fucking Roblox Piggy. That is definitely the strangest sentence I've ever said. Anyway, so you may be asking, why am I analyzing Willow of all characters? Well, it's because she is by far the best villain. Let's just compare her to our other villain from book 1. The one that had, well, not 12 chapters to be set up as the first 3, but 9, technically, to set him up. With Willow, we know her backstory. Well, not right off the bat, it is heavily hinted towards, and we're eventually shown it halfway through the book. With Mr. P, we didn't really know why he was doing all this. We don't know why he was giving out the potions, why he was infecting people, and why exactly he was doing what he was doing. And also, Willow's redemption doesn't, well, come out of nowhere. I know that she decided to stop hunting the gang, but she's still going to be a villain, I will tell you that, for the rest of the book. She has an actual character arc. Mr. P obviously was never trying to be the bad guy. He snaps out of it in chapter 12 for a reason, but I kind of wish we had seen more of him as a character, because I feel like he could have built up to this psychological decline. Or he learns to stop trusting his own mind. I think that would have probably been better, and on top of that, we didn't even know about his wife, his key motivation, until, like, I don't think we ever actually did know that while thinking about it. We were literally only told about it in chapter 12. I'm just saying we could have mixed in a small scene. In fact, I think this would have been a good thing for the gallery not to have done. I understand that they would have had been a bit of writing, but it seems like it would have been something they could have talked about or something they could have hinted towards. Because as it stands, Gallery is currently the one map you can kind of just skip over and not much is revealed. Obviously it hints towards Willow, but the thing is, I feel like book 1 being a self-contained story is a big thing. It should be that. I understand that it works, but I feel like it should have focused on trying to make its own story the best. And I feel like Willow also works because she has proper motivation for it. As is brought up, the arrest didn't feel right to the player. It felt like they should not have been arresting Willow because she was struggling to survive, which acts as a good motivation. The two characters have a personal grudge against each other, but she changes when she realizes what she did being Zizzy's sisters. She has just dished out the pain that she felt for her brother, which is what gets her to change. I know I'm looking too deeply into a fucking Roblox game, but I think this is quite interesting. Anyway, so let's go into what you've probably been waiting for. Book 2, Chapter 7 opens up with Willow telling us that, as she describes, the tackless tiger has taken her boat, so she can't take us across the North Sea. So we decide to get the lighthouse up and running to get us across there. And, oh my god, I love the design of this level so much. You need to understand, okay, the design for this level, it's a pretty standard one, you'll find throughout Piggy, but it works really well in this case because it feels like an abandoned port town, but it just works because of that. I like the cars being in the middle of the street, I like just seeing this smaller community. Not a big one like the city. There are not as many cars. Well, there are still a fair few though. And on top of that, I love the design of this Piggy on this level. Oh my god, it's so good. It just makes sense for a diver to be at the port town. Just works. And I love his weapon being an anchor. It makes sense that there be an anchor in this town. For some maps, I feel like the Piggy's weapon was just pick at random. Like, where the fuck did she get a staff from? Where did he get medieval maces from? I'm just saying, okay? For some of these levels, it does not work. But in this case, it actually does. And for the rest of Book 2, it will make sense for them to have certain weapons. And also, once again, the magical element is starting to show up. This time in a much more obvious way. On this level, there are a set of eyes, similar to the ones we've been seeing. But this time, you can click them. and when you click them, you can summon in this hellscape of a thing. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, I'm just saying, I'm fine with them changing the designs for, like, what characters are meant to look like when it's magic related. I mean, okay, I'll be genuine, sometimes the designs in this game kind of don't work because they completely break the art style. For example, this motherfucking skin. But in this case it works because of the fact that, you know, it's a magical character. It works and makes sense for it. I also do like how the level goes away from the usual just put keys inside an area thing. It works because, you know, it's just makes sense for these last two maps to not have this feature. And it doesn't really appear much throughout the rest of Book 2, so I wanted to bring it up. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, I'm putting this level at A tier. It's honestly one of my personal favorites from this book. Anyway, after you escape, well, I guess escape doesn't really make sense for this context, but you kinda, I don't know really. Anyway, after you get on the boat, you encounter a new character, Budgie the Pirate. She is a old community skin. There used to be custom skin contests, so she is one of them, wielding the sword from another character from the same thing. We ask her to take us across the North Sea to, you know, go to the other part of the world. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Anyway, she reveals that she can't. She used a decent chunk of fuel just docking. So now, she won't have enough fuel to get across the North Sea. So she requests that we go down to the basement of her ship and get the fuel reserves from her. Problem is though, her old crew has all been infected, and that's why she hasn't gone down here yet. Even though she has a sword and probably could cut them up, but still, she probably could have killed them, just saying. Anyway, so us and Willow decide to go down there and get the fucking fuel. Anyway, this leads us into Book 2, Chapter 8 opens up with the player and Willow going to where they need to go to enter the ship. Honestly, there's not much that really can happen between these two parts. In fact, you probably can also just, like, skip the cutscene if you really didn't care for it, because nothing really is revealed here. Okay, right off the bat, I like the ship's design. It, well, feels like a ship. There's tons of little, like, shelves and cargo throughout the map. On top of that, I like how the crew is around the ship. Only one of them is really the main area of the map, but the rest of them are just, like, strewn around here, and it really works. It does feel like, you know, that this entire area got a infection. Also, I like how the bottom part of the ship is flooded. It being unlocked partway through is a really creative way of locking off an area without just putting like a key door there. It just works. I also like how the upper bit of the ship looks. Looks nice. Not much I really can say about that. Also, the Piggy's design on this map looks really good. I like how a chunk of its face is just missing, which could be anything really, but this also really helps support the idea of the infection just kind of keeps you around after death. Like, it doesn't like make you decay like a normal zombie, but any damage you do sustain won't heal or anything. Notice characters such as Piggy or, well, Mrs. P, as she does have a skin, how her skin rots as time goes on. That is just little details I really like. I also like his weapon being a fire hydrant. It doesn't... What the fuck did I just say Hydra? Anyway, a fire extinguisher, which just works once again. I like it. Also, I do like how the gun is no longer in a safe in most of these recent levels. It's just nice to see it not be locked behind the purple safe, because, well, for the longest time, you just skip the purple safe. Because, well, what's the point of using it? You don't really need the gun on most maps. If you're playing player, that's the only time you really need it, so... If you're like me and you're only playing through the lore segments, it's nice to have another safe you can actually open. This has been going on for a while, but this is the first map I really noticed it on, so I thought I'd bring it up. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, I'm putting this one at B tier. I like the map design, but also there's nothing really innovative about the map itself that really makes it deserve the S tier or even A tier, really. But the lore it does reveal also isn't really that good. Anyway, speaking of the lore, first off, there is a weird radio thing. That doesn't really play much into it, but I wanted to bring it up somewhere, so I decided to save it for the lore segment. It says Zizzy Will, whatever that fucking means. Anyway, after you escape, you and Willow get locked inside the fuel cabinet, which is not good, obviously. So the two of them argue about stuff for a while. Pretty much our two key arguments about both Willow and the player both being wrong here. Willow blames the player for everything that went wrong, wants to know what happened to her parents, blah blah blah. It's mostly just a scene where the two of them argue about shit, where the player is informed of Willow's past, so yeah, it's mostly just that. But afterwards, well, the main gang finds their crew. Something about heat signatures or whatever, it's Mimi. She does sciencey shit. I don't really know. But they also bring up a strange detail, that being that there were no infected on the ship when they came down here, as if they just disappeared. Now that is quite strange, wouldn't you say? Anyway, afterwards we go up above and find that we've arrived, seeing banging noises as if explosions are going off. Ominous, wouldn't you say? Anyway, this leads us into Book 2, Chapter 9 opens up with the player and the rest of the gang arriving at the docks, where we get a bit of information about why exactly we needed the fuel. Pretty much, she just needed the fuel to dock. That's really it. Editor ignited my ear. I forgot to mention the fact that Tigery also shows up. Like, he drove the boat over here. But really, there's not much else to say about that. Anyway, so she sends us on our way. Right off the bat, this map's level design is really good. You can tell that whoever was here was in a rush to leave, and I really do like that detail. Something else that sticks out to me is the Piggy on this map. Once again, we see the prevalence of the orange eye, and also a really nice weapon, I must say. And the aesthetic of being a farmer is also really cool. And oh my god, is Pony okay? Yeah, he appears to be at least. That was a bit of a shocker. Yeah, but Pony's okay. He's just knocked down a bit. Now, originally he got stabbed, actually, in fact. At least I think so. I'll fact check myself, who knows, maybe I'm wrong. Anyway. Oh, up to this point, I haven't been fully truthful about the details on this map, as the basement reveals a hidden tomb and a maze to the side. This is once again hinting towards the mystical side of the map. This includes the fact that on this map, if you grab the candle and click a bunch of the mysterious eyes we have been seeing, you then see, well, this horrifying creature. Once again, we see that the further we go towards, well, the north, the more, well, horrifying creatures like this we see. And I think that is a really nice touch. It shows that whatever this force is, it's drawing nearer, and we need to be ready for it. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, I'm putting it at A tier. It's a pretty good level, all things considered. So, yeah. Anyway, after you escape, you encounter Tigery. Yeah, this is actually our first ever time getting to talk to him. As, well, he pretty much just offers us a pretty decent deal. That is to abandon Willow and join his team to get the cure. And, well, Pony wants to take the deal. The player is not so willing. he has his faith in Willow. So, anyway, after that, we then see us getting bombed again? Bro, what is with this book and us getting bombed? Anyway, so, and then we encounter Robbie. Oh, Jesus. Just fucking around, of course. It actually is a good Robbie, as we meet a new character, Coda. He's one of Mimi's friends from pre-apocalypse, I assume. He's also the inventor of the mall security drone, which definitely gave Georgie some trauma, but still. And ultimately, he talks about how apparently the military is bombing the infected because they're trying to attack. It appears whatever's going on right now with this cure, it seems the infected seem to be able to know about it? That is quite weird. Anyway, offers us to go down through his basement to get out, which leads us into Book 2, Chapter 10 opens up with the player and good Robbie heading down to go clear the path. Not really much information from the start, but still. Okay, before we get into the big-ass temple, why don't we get into the lab itself? It looks nice, it feels believable on top of that too. But I really love how this map is an expansion on some of the elements we saw in the last chapter, that being the temple being connected to it. It adds to the mystical element of this book, in my opinion. There's been hints of it throughout, and we're finally seeing it come head on. From Pony talking about voices to the eyes themselves that we've been seeing throughout the maps, to even the demon pig thing, which I really like. And also, I love the Piggy on this map, except for one part. Okay, I'm not gonna dedicate much to this. You've been in the Piggy community, you know what PGL phones did. If you don't already, you're either too young to be in this video, or you're a new fan of Piggy. If you want to know what he did, go watch a different video or something. I don't really know. I don't give a fuck personally. He's just into some weird ass shit. Anyway, other than that, the skin is pretty good. I like the spider aesthetic, and thankfully, while working on this video, the skin got reanimated, which is perfect in my opinion. I'm glad to see that. Mostly because when I watch the credits, I don't get to see his fucking ugly ass name. Anyway, something else I like is the colored torches. It might not seem like a big detail until you realize it's right next to the blue door and the green door. It just works in my opinion. I also like the hidden skin on this level. From this point onwards, there are hidden skins. I love them so much. And this one actually is my main skin in Piggy, so I just had to bring it up here because I love this skin so fucking much. I also do like the level puzzle, though it can be pretty confusing. I'll be genuine here, for the longest time I never knew how to do it. I only learned because of the hidden ending, so yeah. Anyway, if I had to give it a rank yet, I'm putting this one at S tier. Okay, this is actually my favorite level from Book 2 by far. I just love its design, it's just fun to play on top of that. And the lore is pretty insane. Speaking of the lore, after we escape, the player just wants to take a moment to rest when he's suddenly thrown within a black void? Very confusing. Where he sees visions of those he's lost. Bunny, Doggy, and Zizzy. And he thinks, well, shit, this isn't real. And he's right, as our main villain for Piggy finally reveals himself. The orange-eyed man himself, and person who I am going to spoil the name for, because it's not revealed till later on, but I'm not going to call him fucking Dude Man the entire time. The Iniquitous one, aka T.I.O. Or T.O. for short. Pretty much he reveals himself, and reveals some pretty crazy stuff. Well, let's begin with his design, which I fucking love. This design is so good, it's completely against the Piggy art style, which works, because he's not really meant to be a being that's mortal. He's a being that creates his own shape, able to manipulate things in this realm however he wants them to be, showing us maps that we've seen in the past, such as the plant, revealing that that strange void we were following with the black goop, that was a strange vision he was giving us. On top of that, Georgie's nightmare was a vision he was giving Georgie. And he reveals why he's so interested in this. Turns out, the reason why we don't get infected is because we are immune to the infection. We were first attacked at the Piggy household, then given a potion at one point, and now it's revealed that we are actually immune to the infection. He tries to get us to join him, pretty much saying, like, we could do pretty much anything we wanted to, but we don't want to join him. So he says to just not get it in his way and to ignore the cure. And then we nearly punch Pony. Turns out our friends have seen everything that we just did, talking to a strange man who we couldn't even see, and Willow makes fun of it, and Pony reveals that the voices that he was hearing were the same ones as us. Turns out, a while back he made a horrible mistake, a mistake that he lives to regret. Though he does not tell us what quite yet, it's clear that this is a choice he deeply regrets, as even Willow knows about it. We are the only one who doesn't. So we talk for a little while about what he is, but it's not fully understood quite yet. Anyway, so afterwards, we decide to keep on moving for the cure. Robbie is asked to stay behind, as the kids are going to be going with us, so there's no point for him to really follow. Though I feel like he could be used as protection, you know, for us, when you consider the fact that we're currently walking into a military base. But anyway, so we trek on into Book 2, Chapter 11 opens up with the player, character, and the rest of the gang arriving at the camp. And Coda tells us that the place has been pretty quiet for a little while, so we should probably be careful. And right off the bat, I have to say, this level is well designed. I like how it kind of feels like this is a camp that isn't meant to stick around forever. It feels like a smaller camp. Most of the structures are rough. Not nearly as well structured as the military base was in Piggy Book 1. Also, I do have to say the parallels between the two books are nice to see. Both chapters are ending in a similar way. First with a military base, and then a lab. It works. Another thing I like is the infected on this map. It feels like the Insolence has finally given up on trying to convince the player. He's putting piggies that can rip us limb from limb, or, well, shoot us with a rocket launcher and kill us. It works, once again. And also, I like how there's a ton of other piggies around the map that all can jump out of the ground and jump you. It works, and you can even see them in the ground if you really need to. It works, once again. Also, of course, the designs of their suits also look nice, I must say. I like the camo, it works once again for the environment, it makes sense. Another smaller detail I do like is the floor plates, how they can fall out beneath you in the cave. It works. For those who don't know. Partway through the map, you get to blow up an entrance to a cave that leads to the lab, which also leads to this cool-ass stunt. I mean, come on, we literally just fucking Indiana Jones that shit. And also, I like how the old format leaves now for the rest of book 2. The last map was actually the last one to have the white key in it, as the rest of the maps all have an escape method that aren't the usual. Well, at least for the rest of book 2. I don't really count the extra few chapters. I'm talking about main chapters here specifically. Anyway, if I had to give this level a ranking, this is going in A tier. I'll be genuine here. This level's really good, and the story elements it adds almost put it to S tier. Speaking of the story, after we escape, well, it's not really an escape, but still, we get the elevator open, we go tell the rest of the gang to come on over and we're gonna head on down. But before we do, Pony wants to talk to us for a little while. He tells us that he has to tell us something. That being that he tried to infect us. That was his big mistake. Back in the forest, he was the one who gave us that potion. And also, Doggy a potion, though that's less important, I guess. So, obviously, the player character freaks the fuck out, which anyone would do in this situation. Even if the player character has good morals, he clearly has, well, character to him for once. This is shocking, I know. Anyway, he pretty much just says that he can't trust Pony, that he could infect him again. But ultimately, he is swayed back to the good, thanks to one person, that being Georgie. Georgie pretty much tells him what the player told him, that being that if you hate the people who hurt you, it will consume you. It will make you no better. Well, that's just my general analysis of it. Anyway, he pretty much tells us just that everyone makes mistakes, and that we kind of have to live with them. So the player character decides, well, not to forgive Pony, to let it slide for the good of the group, pretty much. And we see Willow staring out at something. It's not clear what she's staring out quite yet, but it's something alright. Anyway, we then head underground. We pretty much decide to split up to go find the cure, which does not sound like a good idea if the lab has been abandoned for this long. Honestly, it doesn't really make sense why the gang thought they could just pull up to a military base. Like, they're lucky they weren't shot on sight, I'm just saying. Anyway, after they split up for a little while, Willow, the player encounter Tigery. He's setting up explosives to pretty much block the path for them. And, well, the two of them have a little discussion. Willow bringing up that she fed and housed him, but Tigery brings up that, well, she was a monster. Well, not a monster. He says a bully, but it kind of feels like a bit of a middle school term. She was just a dick overall. Anyway, and eventually this leads into really well-animated fight scene, I must say. This is, like, really well-animated, especially for Piggy. Like, compare these two animations for a minute. Like, look at this. You're telling me that these are the two same game. These two are the same game. It's just crazy to me. Anyway, but the explosives get set off, and the player character is locked inside of, well, an area by two giant-ass steel pipes. I don't know what these were for, but Jesus Christ, they're big. And right before the level ends, we get to see Penny, which builds us up for the final chapter of this book. Let's get into it. Oh, yep, once again they have in-between chapters. But instead of being one, there are two, and also they are far better than stored in memory because they actually reveal more lore for us to, well, I guess, pick out, I guess. Anyway, the heist opens up with Willow, Pony, and Rash, and also a bull. I think his name's Billy, I don't really remember, honestly. Anyway, the three of them are talking about how William has been pretty quiet ever since Daisy left, giving us the exact time this is set around the time William, I guess, lost Daisy. Anyway, so they decide to go steal him something nice. I don't know what they're going to go steal him. Maybe a pie, perhaps? Who knows, really. And right off the bat, I have to say that the character picks here are pretty nice. It sets up who the chapter is focused on, that being Pony and Willow. Those two are the key focus, as this chapter is about fleshing out their backstory, how the two of them kind of did what they did, specifically. And I must comment on the Piggy on this map. It is the rarest skin in Piggy, that being Polar. My friend has him. He probably is going to be flexing about it for years. Anyway, this skin is also not infected, once again setting up this pre-infection. And I mean, the design works for the level as we are currently trying to steal something, so it works to have a cop character be our, I guess, villain for this chapter. I mean, I guess cops can be villains sometimes in real life. Man, this got really dark really quickly. Anyway, another thing I like is how it expands in the alleys by adding more rooms to it. And it works that these rooms are really well designed. I like I guess it's an apartment complex? I don't know. I thought it was a motel, but it doesn't seem to be that. Anyway, I like this area, it's nice, and it feels like we would be there in the alleys. Just like the warehouse area where our heistable object is kept. I wonder what it is. Oh my, it is an actual pie. I wish I was joking. Honestly, it is kind of funny But also, why the fuck would there be so much security around the pie? What, does this thing fucking cure cancer? I just find that a bit absurd. There actually is a note that comments on that. Literally, Holy says that they better not have him guarding a pie or something. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, I'm putting this level at A tier. It's really good. Honestly, a lot of levels recently have been A tier. There aren't really any bad levels, so this works. Way after we escape, we arrive to give William the pie, and it's revealed that this is the same night he ran away. Where we then get another killer music sequence. Actually, I think I might have forgotten to talk about music in Piggy. It's honestly really good in my opinion. Like, go listen to this. This music's really good. Anyway, after the music starts playing, we get to see Willow's life after this happened. We begin obviously with her getting arrested, and then we see how she got out of the jail by getting a key that was like a mile away. Works. Anyway, we see Willow afterwards exploring and finding Rash infected, which finally reveals his fate to us. He has orange eyes, implying that yes, he most probably made a deal with the Insolence or is under the Insolence control at the very least. And then we see her returning to the alleys and burning it to the ground before meeting Tigery. It's finally revealed how the two of them met. Also get to see Pony looking at a photo of Zizzy before he's recruited by Willow. We then see them finding the potion that they would use to infect Doggy and the player before, well, we see that exact sequence happening. And we then get to see Pony finally deciding to leave the group, going out to find Zizzy because, well, obviously that's what he's gonna do. We know how this goes. Finally, the musical sequence ends with us getting to see Willow next to the same river that Pony was, and then we get to learn what she was staring at in the military base. That being Daisy. Turns out, she was stationed at this military base, and was most likely infected fairly recently, which reveals now that she might have another motivation in getting that cure. Anyway, before we go, I just want to comment on how Jesus fucking Christ made the storyline really dark. I mean, this is like the same platform with this, by the way. Anyway, so this leads us into the next chapter, and the return of someone that we haven't seen in a hot minute. The chapter opens up with Zizzy. Yeah, turns out this chapter is focused on her. The chapter follows her in their refinery, as she tries to cause a distraction so the rest of the gang can get away. Let's begin with some of the really good parts of this level. I really like how it fixes some of my problems with the original map, by making the stairs actually usable. I know, crazy idea. I know, it's actually crazy. Oh my, it also, once again, expands on the map, and also makes sense here, as we get to see a part of the map that actually could have been there, as that door was shut originally, and more demon goo. I think the Insolence may like bending the ocean just a little bit too much. Also, the Piggy on this level, oh my god, it's so good. I love that it's specifically Zizzy's sisters. It works. This chapter is pretty much set around the Iniquitous One messing with Zizzy. So this really does work. Another thing I like is how throughout the map, Zizzy's vision gets worser as the timer ticks down. Pretty much, this is the infection taking place. And I really like how that's a small detail. We'll get to explore what it's like to be infected in a later on chapter, but it actually really does work. Because, well, this is actually the first ever time we see someone get infected, like, from their perspective, which is actually one of the best parts of these character-driven chapters. Being able to see from the character's perspective and learn what they're thinking. We don't get to do that in most of the chapters because we're focused on the player. We'll talk about a bit more about this when we actually hit the story segment, so yeah. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, I'd put this at S tier. I'm being genuine. This level holds up really well. I wasn't actually expecting it to be this good, so yeah. This is mostly because I haven't really replayed the level in a while. I mean, I haven't really replayed Piggy in a while, or at least to Book 2, so yeah. Honestly, a lot of Book 2 has been really good. I do have to say, this has been a quite surprising experience for me. Anyway, after Zizzy escapes, she ends up in the Insolence's weird-ass void place. I know, quite weird. Anyway, the Insolence shows up and tries to recruit her, telling us his backstory. Turns out he once had a friend, but that friend betrayed him somehow, and then he ended up in this place. And on top of that, he was apparently a quiet kid, which may not seem important until you realize that one of Zizzy's sisters has never said a word. Her name is... I'm googling this right now. I think it's Z. I don't really know the difference. Honestly, Anytoon, please, Inner City, give them different colored dresses. I'm begging you. Just make it easier for me to tell them apart. It's like actually impossible. Anyway, he pretty much says that she could end up just like him. And that Zizzy is pretty much a failure. Apparently, this is one of her biggest fears, that Z will never speak. And so, once again, he offers her to join him, but she once again refuses. Where then, the place becomes white and we see Pony. Like, it's actually him. The two of them talk for a little while. It's mostly just about regrets and so on, until it's revealed that, yeah, it was actually Pony, as he's flung out for, well, realizing that Zizzy is seeing the same person that he saw. And then she nearly takes him up on his deal, but a mysterious black hand grabs her and flings her out of the void, I guess. Well, damn, that definitely was a way to end off the chapter, I must say. Well, I know we've all been waiting for this, so let's get into it with the next and grand finale of Piggy. Can I believe what I was just about to say? I am so sorry about that. Piggy, Book 2, Chapter 12. Book 2, Chapter 12 opens up with no cutscene. We're immediately thrown into the action, which I have to say, I wish that some of these earlier levels did not have a cutscene, I'm just saying. I mean, for most of these levels, it's just like, oh yeah, let's go down to the basement of the lab, or let's go set up a distraction. I'm just saying, you probably can remove most of those cutscenes. Anyway, right off the bat, I have to say, the level looks good. It feels different from Mr. P's lab at the plant, but still feels futuristic. It feels much more like what a, well, government body would make. It's filled with concrete like a bunker. It has areas that are, well, made for developing things in the lab, and also the reactor area is really nice. Something else I must say is I like how the keycards throughout the map are used. I like how it is keycards. It once again makes it feel like a lab. Also, the vent on this map is really good. I like how there's a crawling trap there, which sets up that the Insolence is here, and that it's pretty much ramaged through the lab. What also helps set that up is the Piggy, which is Penny. It's nice to see her back, other than, oh my Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, so it's no longer that little small child, it is now a giant horrific creature. Yeah, so that's totally not horrifying. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, did Penny lose an arm? Like, she's just actually missing an arm. Honestly, when I first saw this, I was actually shocked, because what I was expecting to see was like this small, little child, and then I got this thing that's twice my fucking size. Anyway, something else I do have to say is I like the puzzle and stuff. It's kind of a bit confusing when you first learn about it, but it works. Because, well, it makes sense that it'd be a bit complicated. This is a, you know, government lab. Oh yeah, and also the dynamite throughout the building. Nice to see. Once again, works. And sets up that, you know, this lab was just blown up. Anyway, after you get the exit open, you're thrown into a completely new level. Yeah, pretty much you're going inside some insolence temple thing, where you showed 4 of the old maps, them being sewer, factory. I think this area is meant to be alleys, I can't tell, and docks. We are given a choice to help one of 2 people, that being Willow and Tiger. Since we're going over Savior ending, we won't be going over the Survivor ending ones, because honestly, both of them kind of suck, and they're kind of just the same. We're also being chased around by a few sentinels, which totally don't get annoying because they don't make very much sound. Anyway, if I had to give this level a ranking, this level's going at S tier, I'm being genuine here. This level itself is really good, and its ending, well, I guess endings are even better. So let's get into those endings. The first one being Tigery. Tigery's ending is the bad ending for this one. In this ending, you help Tigery, and then a bunch of explosives go off, you get trapped with Pony, and Tigery's gone too. So you're pretty much just stuck, and Pony reveals that he is infected, and that, well, you're fucked. So you decide to take the Insolence's deal, and yeah, you are, I guess, now an Insolence guy. It doesn't really show much after that, so yeah. Now, if you help Willow, the ending is way more interesting. You and Willow talk for a little bit, and you decide to go on up and make sure everything's okay up there. Well, Willow's gonna grab the cure because she just needs a minute. So yeah. Where then you find Pony collapsed next to a tree. It's revealed that, well, he is infected. And the 2 of you have a little discussion for a little bit about just kind of what went wrong. Everything. Pony pretty much just says to take care of the kids, and also he requests that you, well, trip her up a little bit. They had a pretty good run, all things considered. This is honestly a really sad scene. Seeing Pony just kind of accept that he's pretty much dead. And it's also, on top of that, made this by seeing Willow walk away. The player character thinking that they can use the cure on Pony. It's really sad. The player character ultimately forgives Pony, which is a really nice scene, because it shows that the player character is still a good character. But you know, he was feeling betrayed, which I feel like anyone would in this situation. I mean, the person that you trusted among the most is revealed that he tried to kill you in the past. It's really sad. But there is some good news as Willow shows up again and hands Pony the cure. She pretty much admits that Pony is important, and so, yeah, Pony takes the cure, and then the rest of the gang shows up, including Giraffe. Turns out he took a ship here, which implies that getting across the North Sea is not that long, because the player character had to have been down there for, at the most, like 20 minutes. Unless that means that the player character was either down there for a lot longer looking for that cure, or Budgie just has a really fast ship. Honestly, they probably could have just rowboated it. I feel like that is how long it takes, because assuming the level's time is like 10 minutes, then that means it only takes 10 minutes to get across the North Sea, which means it's not really a sea, it's more of a... You know what, I'm thinking too much into this. This is a game where infection infects animals that are sentient and talking, and they have to fight a really tall guy who has magical powers. You know what, I'm thinking too much into this. Anyway, Giraffe reveals that he just got his way over here, and then they lie and say that the cure was destroyed, which is, I guess, fine. Anyway, so yeah, this is where Piggy should end. This is honestly the best ending, as the hidden ending is kind of rough, but I'm gonna have to go into it, so yeah. Before I go, also, Willow runs away, so she's no longer harmed. Yeah. The credits also are really good on this level. It's pictured as photo frames, where you see a bunch of pre-infection stuff. And we also get to see both Zizzy and Pony on the Ferris wheel. It's just setting up the two of them definitely had chemistry beforehand. Anyway, so let's get into the grand finale of Piggy. I know I said that already, but still. Okay, so before we begin on the hidden ending, we need to go into the minor difference between the two timelines. You see, most of the tasks to get to the hidden ending aren't really that important, but one of them is. That being, you need to beat the docks map without Pony getting stabbed. This is the key difference between these two timelines. Pony is not infected. So anyway, after you do another puzzle, you radio into Mimi, pretty much telling her to get some fucking help, because right now, there isn't much you can really do, so you just gotta look for that damn cure. Where then you find Willow and Tiger. The two of them are, well, at the end of their fight. Turns out, well, Willow won, as she's about to kill him when the player shows up, and pretty much tells her to stop. That this is not a way to deal with the problem. That she needs to settle their differences with words or whatever. It's a bunch of pacifist bullshit, I guess. Anyway, ultimately, Tiggery says to Willow that they once were friends, that back in the day things were different, but now, suddenly, it's like something has changed. Which I think is supposed to act as Willow's kind of realization that she's kind of a dick in this timeline, instead of Pony nearly dying. Not nearly as effective, but still it works. Anyway, afterwards Mimi arrives, implying that she somehow got past the giant metal pipes, which is totally not concerning. Anyway, so yeah, after that, she reveals that someone has arrived. That being the military, where we learned that apparently Tiggery was a deserter. Yeah. And, well, this is our new character, Sergeant whatever the fuck, I can't pronounce his name. He'll be a little bit important later, trust me. Where you're ready to give over the cure when a bunch of infected show up. Tons of them being ones that we've seen before. And right before the army shoots the infected, we're thrown inside the Insolence's void for a little bit, where you and him have a little talk for a while. Pretty much, the Insolence says that free will is a problem, that they need to get rid of it, that the cure will cause a war between people. But the player argues that the cure is hope for the future, that if they don't give out the cure, then the world's never going to become what it once was. Ultimately, though, the Iniquitous one is not convinced, and decides to deal with the player himself. We get to see some really good animations, I'll be genuine. Like, they're just really fucking good. And also the design of the Iniquitous one during this, it looks monstrous. It's like he's no longer composing himself, he's just giving in to his evil. And I just love the design so much. I love how it's the black goop that's been associated with the Insolence, with a mixture of, well, his color of orange mixed in. And I like how the top hat is still in this design too. It looks like him, but more demented. Anyway, so he starts chasing you. Pretty much you have to do every single puzzle that you faced throughout this book. And you're given hints, obviously, to make sure it's not too difficult. There also is an exclusive trap here. It's this weird purple trap. It's exclusive to this book, but it doesn't really make sense why it's not available. Anyway, so yeah. After you escape, you're thrown into an Insolence temple place. I think the place has a name, but I'm just gonna call it the Insolence Temple. So yeah, where you can find your friends. They're all being tortured by their memories. Zizzy's sister, whichever one it is being tortured by Zizzy, Pony by his father, and Georgie by his sister. Which is not the design that he would have seen, but still it works. So yeah, after you give all three of them their weapons, you realize that, well, you know, it's your memories. You can use your memories against them. Where also the music that I've been playing in the background starts playing, which is honestly my favorite song in the entire game, because it's just really fucking good. Like, if you haven't listened to Let Go, listen to Let Go. Anyway, so yeah, now you give all three of them, being Doggy, Bunny, and Zizzy, getting a representation for those characters, finally out of the way. And you give each one of them their items, while also being chased around by this annoying motherfucking pure black sentinel, which kills you every single fucking time. I swear to God, it's actually so fucking annoying. And also another one, but he's less annoying because he actually has glowing parts, so yeah. And then the Insolence pretty much just tells you, why the fuck would you do this? Like, he pretty much just says, "You buffoon, why?" Like, it doesn't, I don't know why he says that, but still. Where ultimately we decide to give the cure. Where Willow and Tigray, who have been completely absent during this, and most definitely just saw the player character going like pretty much insane, decide to travel together. Where this leads to the end of Book 2. Well, after the credits there is a post-credits scene, where we get to see them now inside Coda's, well, home, with Zizzy back, where they just discuss about carrot prices for a little while, until it's ultimately revealed that maybe this is not real, and that this is actually an Insolence illusion, as we see one of the Insolence's portals there. Man, that is definitely a way to end your book. Man, I wonder how long we have to wait to the next part, maybe a year or so? So yeah, we've been waiting like 3 years for the continuation of the storyline, which honestly might be my biggest problem with this ending, is just the wait. You know, back when it first happened, I was like, okay, we're gonna have to like wait like a year and then we're gonna get our explanation, but obviously, we still don't have it. During the current production of this video, Inner City is not out, so I don't know anything that's about to happen. For all I know, Inner City could be the most shitty-ass game ever and could completely ruin the story. Who knows? All I know is that this current ending has been a cliffhanger that's been left on for years now, and I am really excited to see the conclusion. So anyway, let's get into, well, Book 2, and my final discussion of it. Okay, so Book 2. Overall, it is a far improvement from Book 1. Well, yes, I did say that I do like Book 1. It definitely isn't the best writing-wise, we need to be honest there. Book 2 is by far better written, and I have to say the improvement between these two books is incredible. Like, Minitoon, applaud yourself on the back of this, because it's like, genuinely so high quality. I feel like what really helped it was the fact that he had a consistent plan for the book. Every single part of this book was planned out beforehand. And, well, yes, the hidden ending was a little bit disappointing. I understand that, well, you know, Inner City got a ton of delays. And, well, yes, I do wish that it had been left off on a note where, you know, it would still work as an ending, but still leave room open for future stories similar to what Book 2's ending was. I think this was a fine book. I mean, the ending doesn't ruin it. We know there's gonna be more story, so yeah. And honestly, the ending isn't even that bad. Like, it's sure. Is it kinda just sequel bait? Kinda. But also, it's not a bad kind. I mean, it's not like they left us on a really big cliffhanger. Not only are there multiple endings in Piggy, Book 2, that you can interpret as the potential ending, well, true ending, I guess, but also, overall, the ending is really good. I think what really brings it down is this final part. But, still. Overall, I think Book 2 is way better than Book 1, mostly because of the fact that it had a plan and each chapter progressed the storyline. We didn't have, for example, whatever the hell happened with Gallery. So, yeah, what next? Well, after that, Piggy got some little bonus chapters. Well, I guess they weren't really little, they actually were quite big, but still. So, let's get into it. The chapter opens up with Tigray. This chapter is set pre-infection, by the way, as we see his time in the military, as he's sent out on a job to go invade some enemy lands. It's not really that complicated, I guess. And the level begins actually really well, with us running across the pathway and then falling into a mysterious bunker. This is when my confidence began. I love this level so much. This level is genuinely so good, and it's just because of the fact that it's actually trying to be scary. This is the first ever time Piggy tries to be scary, and it really does it well. To that the map is completely pitch black, and you have no one else there other than maybe a few players, makes it really scary. Another thing that helps with that is the fact that Well, there is no player mode in this chapter. Yeah, you're stuck in bot mode, which means that you don't have the usual Piggy that you would expect, like a player. Instead, what you see is this horrifying thing, which I really love the design of. I like the idea of it being a twisted version of Tigery. I kind of wish some of the other character-focused chapters did that with their Piggy. Well, the insolence-focused ones, that is. I guess Zizzy's one kind of did that with her sisters, so touche, I guess. Now, in order to escape this map, you need to solve a code, which requires you to go into 4 different rooms. Let's just describe each room, I guess. The first room is Tigery's old house. Yeah. Much for this one, it's kind of like Escape the really running wall or whatever. I don't really remember what the game was called exactly. I'll put it up on the screen. Pretty much this, that's pretty much what it's like. Like, the Piggy is running across there and you have to dive into rooms to avoid it. Eventually you'll find a key and you'll get it. I like this setting. The design of it makes it feel like a raggedy home, like a less fortunate in comparison to some of the other houses we've seen in Piggy. Next up we have the classroom, which has honestly one of my favorite puzzles in Piggy. This little I like these little block puzzles where you have to like find ways to put things around. It's hard to describe. I like these though, and I like this design for the classroom. It feels creepy while still looking like a classroom, which makes sense because it's supposed to be a twisted version of the classroom. After all, the insolence does twist your memories. At least from my understanding. Next up we have the fairgrounds. Well, it may not seem like the fairgrounds, because it's one of those puzzle things where like the blocks appear up. Pretty much, well, I just described it. So yeah. Ultimately though, when you hit the end, you find the carnival place where we blocked Foxy with it. Which implies that the insolence can see the future, as Tigery claims he has not seen that. Which is quite surprising and concerning if you consider it. Like, does that mean the insolence can see the future? Who knows? The final part of this 4-part, I guess, puzzle series is training. We get to see Tigery's basic military training, which is honestly a really fun segment because it's the first time we've seen an obby in Piggy. Which is kind of surprising it took this long. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Anyway. But this works in my opinion. It really is a nice segment, and I also like how it shows this is once again being twisted with the gun. There was no shooting in this original movie. I mean, I don't think basic military training has shooting. Anyhow, ultimately, throughout all this, we get little hints about lore, you know? But still. After doing these 4 parts of the puzzles, we find a knife. Yeah. And we take it to go stab the monster, which ultimately concludes the level. But before we get into the final cutscene, if I had to give this level a ranking, I'm putting this level at S tier. This one is literally one of the scariest chapters in Piggy. Note that I didn't say the scariest. We've yet to face that yet. Anyhow, after we, I guess, escape is the word I would use for this, but we technically didn't really escape, we stabbed the monster. Anyway, we get to see Tigery's life flash before, I guess, his eyes. It's really simple, really. He pretty much just grew up with neglectful parents, was bullied in school, and ultimately joined the military as a form of escape. Apparently, it seems like it was a place where he found his calling. Well, that is until he accidentally stabs his friend. Yeah, I forgot to mention him earlier. He's not really that important, but he is introduced here. So yeah, he stabs him and then, well, deserts, as was said earlier. Ultimately, it's revealed that this chapter was actually Tigery looking back on it after seeing the military poster. Because him and Willow are on the road. Yeah, this chapter is technically set after Inner City, but I don't really count it. Anyway, the two of them talk for a minute about like why Willow took him in, and we never really do find out, but I think it might have had something to do with Willow having that shred of goodness in her. I mean, she always has had it. Everything that she was doing was for a justifiable reason, technically. She was stealing to support people, and in general, she didn't really commit any crimes till she was arrested. Well, like, crimes that are, like, not justifiable. Anyway, so after this chapter, we get into... The chapter begins with Z and Susie, once again I cannot tell the difference, deciding to try to break into someone's house. Man, these kids must not have good parents. Anyway, they're breaking into the house to find out about this random old guy, and apparently he turns kids into toys. Yeah, this is definitely a way to start this chapter. I will say that. I mean, I guess kids are dumb, so it makes sense. Anyway, once again, this is another amazing chapter, okay? This chapter is just so well designed. I love it so much. I love how it feels like, it feels creepy, but also feels like an actual livable place where someone would live. It's an issue with some horror environments, in my opinion, when they try to make things creepy, but still try to make you believe that, oh yeah, this is some place where someone lives. So yeah, in my opinion, this works. Another thing I like is how this is the final chapter in Piggy to use the old format. The old find a bunch of keys, use them in areas, and eventually find the key that helps you escape. Yeah, well yes, there are 2 more chapters after this. Neither of them use this style of format, where you have a series of rooms that you need to clear. You're also blocked to first person in those other 2 chapters, so yeah. And honestly, this is a really good send-off to this one. Everything about this just works. I like how the keys help expand the map in unique ways. For example, if you use a key upstairs, it allows you to teleport from upstairs to the basement. And the basement is really well designed too. I haven't really talked about it much, but it is a good area and really does, I guess, feel like a basement, though that's not really that hard. Something else I like is, well, the Piggy. The Piggy on this level is a unique one, as not only does its design really shake things up, with it being a robot but not in the Robbie sense, more of a, I don't really know what to describe him, I guess kind of like a toy. Man, I wonder why people thought he turned kids into toys. But other than the fact that his design is amazing, he also has a unique gimmick. Yeah, his gimmick is pretty much his face will spin. You have to change your place now depending on it. You either have to look away from him or look at him depending on what direction his face is looking. Which color, I guess. Anyhow, something else I do like is, well, the little hints towards the insolence. The insolence is being hinted towards in this chapter, which has been a constant between the last 2 chapters, which I do like. First with Tigery's weird visions, which were definitely from the insolence, though I do not know why he wanted that. And now with the portal, and also something else that happened after the ending of this chapter. Anyhow, if I had to give it a ranking, I'm putting this at S tier. I know I'm about to sound like a broken record for a while, but still. The chapter ends with Zizzy's sisters running out of the house, and Zizzy finding them, and it becomes just a whole lecture, and Pony returns to his lazy-ass, motherfucking bitch-ass self. Most of this doesn't really matter, other than we get to meet this guy, who is, I think, canonically Ellie's grandfather or father. I don't really know which one. I'll put it up on screen and Google that after. Anyhow, so yeah, and I do like the expansion on older characters. Characters that, well, were just piggies during the original book, now getting characters who reveal more about them. I kind of hope that continues. Foreshadowing is a literary device in which I haven't been able to make that joke in a hot minute. Anyhow, after the chapter ends though, we get to see the old man again, as he enters inside of a room, and we learn that he knows about the incidents, as he calls someone on the phone named Findlay, who is this guy. Yeah, he doesn't actually appear in any canon Piggy chapter, you'll soon learn why. As he pretty much says that something big is on the horizon, and that he needs him to go check out something more. Oh my, though, that was a very interesting chapter. I wonder what the next story chapter is going to be. Perhaps expanding more on the lore.
of another character, perhaps Doggy? No, actually. See, around this time, Minitoon decided to stop updating Piggy. It was a sad thing, but he wanted to focus on Inner City. And I think everyone kind of understood that, so yeah. Then, 2 years later, Piggy started getting updates again. Inner City was taking a while. So, Minitoon started updating Piggy, beginning with a update of the hunt, which I will not be covering because it kinda breaks both my rules. It was intended to be limited time because of the hunt, but I guess it isn't anymore. But what it also breaks is the non-canon. If I included it, I'd have to cover stuff such as Piggy.exe and Hoilday, whatever the hell, those 2 Hoilday chapters I'm gonna have to play. But eventually, we would get 2 more canon chapters. The final 2 I'm going to be covering in this video, which leads us into...
Okay, so the chapter is supposed to have some kind of opening cutscene, but for some reason it just doesn't anymore. Anyway, the cutscene's just Bunny calling out to someone named Bonnet. Anyway, so right off the bat, you can notice this chapter has a bit of a difference in art style. Yeah, so it's definitely a lot more realistic in comparison to most of the other ones. So, yeah. And I actually think that this is an excellent change. It really sells the much more horror-based tone that it's going for, as foreshadowed in the Breakout segment. Something else you'll notice is that we now have a weapon, that being Bunny's crossbow, which is a, well, interesting development. For the first ever time, we can actually defend ourselves without needing to drop an item. This thing can also be used to break obstacles, as shown during the opening of the chapter, when you shoot the, well, I guess, plank thing. Anyway, after crossing the plank, you encounter something running. It's not clear what that is, because it is in shadow, but you chase after it anyway, where we immediately get to see this map getting expanded on. We'll be discussing this throughout the chapter, but there's a very clear showing of, well, expansion on the older elements, with stuff such as the, well, back area we're currently in. Also how this segment acts as a perfect tutorial segment for the chapter, setting up the key things you need to know about. That being how to use your crossbow, and also how you need to technically solve parts of the map by unlocking other areas. Blending these older Piggy elements with new kind of, I guess, Resident Evil type ones. I don't really know much about Resident Evil, I haven't really played it. Anyway, so the small touches about being able to shoot lights and TVs are really cool to see also. Anyway, after you climb up the stairs, you encounter a shopping area in the mall where you can go ahead and buy things. Where you also encounter your first ever infected. Yep, instead of having, well, an infected in the traditional sense, they instead have multiple that are around the map, making this once again feel like, well, an abandoned subway station. Which is really cool to see. How it shows that we're in a zombie apocalypse. And I don't really have much else to say about that, I guess. Anyway, the setting of this part being the shopping mall area is fantastic. And honestly is one of the standouts of the chapter. How each place there feels like something that would be in this shopping mall area is nice to see. Anyway, after progressing forward, we encounter the shadow once again running through a back room area, where when we proceed through there, we encounter a hospital map, with you being able to find someone, I'm assuming who is Bunny, and also Mr. P running ahead, where you see the words, "You left us for him," alluding to something that happened in Bunny's past, where she chose Mr. P over someone else. You also getting jump scared during this segment, which I will not lie, actually did get me when I originally played it. I'm just saying, that's kind of funny. Anyway, the next area of the chapter that really stuck out to me was the subway tunnel. This is just an interesting set piece to see, as, well, obviously you know that I love when story-driven chapters expand on a previous map, seeing this area get expanded once again is really cool to see. Being able to see, well, not much really interesting, but it still is just cool to see. This also might be a good time to mention that the infected on this map actually can't kill you in one hit. Instead, you have an HP bar system, which is honestly kind of needed. Well, I didn't bring it up during many of the earlier chapters. It is kind of annoying how the Piggy instantly kills you. It doesn't give you a chance to fix your mistakes, which I will actually bring up why that's important later. Trust me, it's annoying. Something else I can bring up real quick is the fan puzzle. It's really not that important, but it is just kind of cool to see. Seeing the map itself use elements of it to be a puzzle is cool to see. I always think that's cool in games. Anyway, the next part is a back room style area, with it having gas valves and so on, where you also can find a sleeping bag, which is heavily implied to belong to Tigery. Honestly, it doesn't matter that much, so who cares? Anyway, the big part of this area is the gas puzzle, I guess? It's not really a puzzle, but it's pretty much just a timer thing. You need to switch off 3 gas valves before the timer runs out. If you successfully do that, you then get to move on. Honestly, it's a simple puzzle, but it is nice to see. Once again, I'm always into the idea of levels themselves impacting what puzzles are on the map, so yeah. Anyway, once again you see Bonnet run in front of you, where then you enter a house area, where you see a fight between 2 people. It looks to be Bunny and someone wearing a hat. Honestly, it's not really made that clear who it is, so yeah. Anyway, after that we encounter a claw machine, which we need to use to drop a bag of what I'm hoping is rocks, because if it's not that, that is confusing. Anyway, after you drop it, you then crawl through a vent for a little while, where you then find a key, where then you're chased by this horrifying creature, where you then pass by a door before escaping it, which is, let's just say, a little bit terrifying. Though I must compliment the design. The design is well made, obviously, and really has it stick out. I'm assuming that this is meant to be something that Bunny's mind is coming up with, as we'll learn later on that she's not really in the right headspace, let's just say. Anyhow, another thing that stuck out to me was that mysterious door. I wonder if it had anything to do with the future of this. Perhaps maybe how to access the sequel? Foreshadowing is a literary device in which... Okay, I'm stop making that joke. Anyway, after you get past the door, you then have to reactivate the power for a main gate, where you then encounter infected with guns. Yeah. So this is actually a first, I think, excluding non-canon skins, obviously, because, well, they're non-canon. This is probably the first sort of time we've seen an infected, well, use a firearm. I wonder if that's meant to hint towards something. Who knows? Anyway, after escaping another area, you finally have escaped, it appears. Well, that was definitely a pretty creepy chapter. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, oh my Jesus fucking Christ. So, yep, once again you're getting chased by this horrifying creation that definitely defies some kind of law of physics. And, well, this is when my complaint about insta-death for chases comes back up. Yeah, so this chase is difficult, and, well, I kind of wish it wasn't as difficult. Obviously, it's a Roblox game. It's not Dark Souls level of hard. The big problem is, because of the insta-death mechanic during this chase, and the fact that you need to crawl through a variety of structures, it causes the issue of you're gonna die a lot during this segment, and honestly, I have no clue how to even beat it without just using pure luck. Anyway, after you run away from it for a while, you find a vent where you then crawl into it.
Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, I'm putting it at S tier once again. I know, I'm a broken record. Anyway, so the chapter ends with us seeing Bunny as she laments not being able to find her sister. Which, right off the bat, oh my god, the animation budget went up. Yeah, I'm gonna comment on this right now. The animations during these chapters, well, these last couple, are fantastic, and I love them. And anyway, after that, though, she sees an infected that's talking. Now, that's quite weird. And she shoots it while it's searching a trash can, where we're given a flash showing that it's not an infected, it's a regular person? As Bunny's also twitching, where then that person's friend shows up and then shoots Bunny, holy shit. As she's shown a flash of her family. Man, this chapter got dark quickly. But it's also shown that Bunny is 100% infected. Anyway, after she gets shot, we then see a voice saying how it's disappointing, isn't it? Saying that potentially in another world, things could have gone differently. Potentially. Almost as if it's hinting towards a future chapter. I'm not going to make the foreshadowing joke this time. Anyway, so yeah. Well, let's get into the final chapter of this video. Wait, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, god damn it! Chapter begins with the player character needing to file their taxes, but they can't because they can't remember the password. Man, that is weirdly relatable nowadays. Man, I'm getting old. Anyway, so I know I wasn't going to cover these, like, temporary chapters, but honestly, this one I was able to find a re-upload for, and since it is literally canon, I feel like I would have to cover it anyway. So, yeah. Most of this chapter is just doing chores anyway, so we'll instead discuss the notes, because, I mean, we've already broken one of the rules we had in place. Why not break the other ones? Honestly, there's not very many notes I want to talk about, other than two. The first note is about how there's a ban on the place where Piggy took place. I can't pronounce it, so yeah. If I try saying, I'm just gonna say Latveria. That's old Dr. Doom's home, so yeah. Anyway, the second one is about how the player character can't rejoin the police. Yeah, apparently due to the fact that he's infected. Which I think implies that the player character being immune to the infection is a one-of-a-kind thing. Because, well, there are more humans in this chapter. I think the implication that it's trying to give here is that, well, yes, the player character is immune, no one else is. The player character being immune is special, as the insolent said. Anyway, is there anything else I really could talk about for this chapter? Other than the cutscene? Oh, yeah, the wash clean in the river? The washing machine thing? On the washing machine, it plays the wash clean in the river theme. Man, why did I give this a whole segment? Like, looking back, like, why? Oh, whatever. The chapter is basic, and honestly, it works as an April Fool's Day joke, and as an actual lore piece, as you'll see via the ending cutscene. If I had to levy any complaints against it, I understand why it's 3 minutes and 14 seconds, because that's a kind of heavenly number or whatever. I don't fully understand it, actually. But personally, I think that they should have made it 5 minutes, as it feels like you're rushing to complete every single task because you have no time. Anyway, if I had to give it a ranking, I'll put it at A tier. I would have put it at S tier, but I feel like for an April Fool's Day joke, it really wouldn't make sense to put it at S tier, so yeah. Anyway, the chapter ends with the player character filing their taxes, before kind of realizing that their life has no meaning right now.
they aren't really doing anything with their life. So they decide to give it a meaning by grabbing the photo of their friends and calling someone to give them a ride to the island, where we meet a character from Piggy Branched Realities, that being Miguel. I don't know much about him, I haven't really played that game that much, so yeah. Anyway, where he pretty much just tells us, like, what we're doing is illegal, and he better be prepared to pay a lot, and stuff like that, where the player character just sobs about how they lost their job. But still, it's a satisfying ending, setting up that the player character is going to be in inner city. Anyway, why don't we get to the actual main event, because with the amount of intermissions between these things, I feel like you all want it. Okay, so you may be asking the question right off the bat, how on earth do you get to this chapter? And I totally didn't foreshadow it earlier with the whole door thing. Anyway, so yeah, you pretty much just need to go to this door, and instead of using the key, you need to shoot the lock. Honestly, it's kind of weird. Anyway, where you go for a portal, and then end up here, inside Spider-Man Noir's dimension. Anyway, and I have to say, this segment is really fucking creepy, okay? The thing is, you can hear noises, children's laughing, and so on. Even though nothing can attack you here, you're always feeling like you could get attacked, and that atmosphere is incredible in my opinion. Anyway, the puzzle you have to do here is, honestly, a little bit annoying. It fits the atmosphere being one of those old X and O things that are apparently at playgrounds, honestly. I don't really remember much about the playground and don't really go there very often. Anyway, the annoying thing about this puzzle is that you're constantly running back and forth as you need to find the exactly correct order to do the X and O's, which is a little bit annoying, but other than that, this puzzle is pretty well designed. Anyway, after you go down the slide, you get jump scared. Honestly, this one didn't really get me as much. Where you then end up in a McDonald's play place. Yeah, well, this was unexpected. Anyway, actually, before we continue, why don't we discuss this chapter's name real quick, because it actually does have some significance, being called Delirium. Delirium is, and I quote, "Delirium is a type of confusion that happens when an illness changes in your environment or other functions, putting too much stress on your brain. It is more common in adults over 65. Delirium is a serious condition that can lead to long-term or everlasting problems, especially if not treated quickly." Well, that definitely is a condition, and actually does explain a lot about this chapter. I mean, currently Bunny is infected with the disease, that obviously being the infection, so it makes sense that it could cause some form of delirium. That also gives us a hint towards the infected headspace. But also there is another hint on who could be causing this illusion, which I will be going into a little bit later. Anyway, there are 3 parts to this area that all explore Bunny's past. We'll be going in completely random order because honestly I don't really care to have a specific order for this. The first place is the mall area, where right off the bat, this probably is not the mall chapter because, I mean, look at it. This was definitely not in the mall last time, unless there's like some hidden background that I did not know about. Anyway, so yeah, where we see 3 people laughing, which I'm assuming, based off of future context, that this is them making fun of Bunny. We'll soon learn why. Anyway, next area is I'm assuming some kind of party room, or like rental room. Anyway, we find 3 cups, which is implying that only 3 people showed up to Bunny's party, implying that, well, she was not well liked. Those 3 people being, well, obviously Bunny herself, Sheepy, which yes, I can't believe that this character is getting a bit of expansion on the lore of. And finally, Teacher, as it seems that the three of them were friends, and maybe Bunny and Sheepy were more than friends. I'll get onto that after. Anyway, the final, well, I guess, memory, anyway, is an arcade area where we can see a memory of Bunny and Teacher. Which, now I'll say this finally explains why Bunny was at the school. It is pretty clear that Bunny was going to save Teacher, but arrived too late, which adds a little bit of tragedy to what happened to her. It makes me wonder also if perhaps the person who infected Bunny was Teacher, but that's just a theory. Anyway, after you escape this area, you are then once again chased, which is less alarming because you're not having something running through a fucking wall like it's the Kool-Aid Man. Fuck that thing, I don't even know its name. What is it? Give me a second, I'm gonna Google it. Twisted Rabbit? That is a dumbass name. Anyway, where once you make it to the end, you find Sheepy, who saves you, where you then end up in Spider-Man Noir's dimension again, where you find a house. That house having to be Bunny's house, well, childhood home. I'm assuming it's not her home in the modern day, but it always could be, who knows. Anyway, once again, this area's ambience is incredible, and gives me the creeps every single time I, well, play through this chapter, because I've had to play through it a few times. You'll soon learn why I had to play through this area. Anyway, where you make your way upstairs to a reading room, where you see a plushie of Bunny, and then the lights go out, and then the plushie of Bunny disappears. And then on top of that, the house is now abandoned, leaving us with the implication that this house has been abandoned for a while. That's why I said earlier, I don't think I really need to explain myself. Anyway, where when you go down to the basement, which is why you went into that room, get a key, anyway, you find that you need to now find 3 wires to be able to, well, fix the power to the place. Anyway, I have to say that the ambience of this place being abandoned adds to the creepiness. Once again, nothing can attack you here as far as I'm aware, so the idea, though, that you could be attacked really is creepy. It feels like there should be something chasing you around. Actually, I'm kind of mad there isn't something chasing you around here, but obviously I understand why there isn't. Anyway, so after you go down to the basement and reactivate the power, you try going back upstairs where you see Bunny's sister shutting the door in your face. Where you then crawl through this area and, oh my god, once again. Yeah, this one did not get me again because, well, it's kind of telegraphed to you, but still. And we are once again back to the stupid fucking one-hit death mechanic. I know that it's in many other horror games, but honestly, I think I just don't like this mechanic in general in horror games, so take my words with a pinch of salt. This one is less annoying, but also more annoying at the same time. I'll explain. So pretty much you need to follow these, well, glow sticks that lead you across the area, which is definitely a way to show the paths, but honestly, I think I would have just preferred a straight tunnel, instead of having potential of messing up because you go the wrong way. It's just frustrating, especially because you can't really revive. Yeah, I know. Why can't you revive is my question. Honestly, I feel like you should be allowed to. Or at least have, like, checkpoints. Honestly, I think that fixes a large chunk of my complaints with these segments if they were just checkpoints. Huh, can't believe I fixed a problem during this video. Anyway, after you escape there, you find 2 graves. Presumably Bunny's parents. And if we assume that the person Bunny was fighting with was her dad, that implies that Bunny's last conversation with her father was not a pleasant one, which I think just adds another air of tragedy to Bunny's life. Man, this chapter's depressing. Can we go back to, like, fighting the insolence? Can we go back to that, please? Anyway. Anyway, so you continue forth, and after finding this horrifying creature, which is actually the skin you get for completing the map, I didn't bring it up last time, but you also got the decaying infected skin for being the last chapter, which is a fine skin. Honestly, there's not much really to say about either skin. Anyway, after you get past it, you encounter a school, specifically Bunny's medical school. As she sees Sheepy, and we chase after her to find a blocked area where we now need to run around classrooms, solve a code, blah blah blah. Honestly, most of this is just kind of there. I mean, it's kind of annoying. Not really difficult, just annoying to do. If you miscount the amount of books, pretty much you just gotta count books, and it's kind of annoying, but hey, nothing you can do about it. But the medical school itself is a fine location. I definitely don't think it has the ambience of the other two, especially because this stupid twisted bunny thing, I don't even know what it's called, chained bunny, I think. Anyway, that thing can spawn at you at any minute. It's just kind of whatever. Anyway, after you escape this, well, I guess, medical school, you end up in a forest where the trees close behind you, where you then find those things, whatever they are, shadow creatures. Honestly, I don't know what they're called. Where they're now attacking all of Bunny's friends. I'm not gonna list all of them here, but it's like Mr. P, Sheepy, Teacher, and Bunny's family. I think that's actually it. I just literally went against exactly what I said. Anyway, though you can't actually save anyone but Bunny's family. Well, I think it is possible if you were to camp one of them, but still. Where you then after, well, a while, end up at the conclusion of the chapter. But before we go there, how do I feel with the chapter? I mean, I said I'd be a broken record. S tier, easily. This chapter's fantastic, though I do have some grievances with it, obviously, but still, it's fine, and definitely one of the best chapters in Piggy. Anyway, the cutscene begins with Bunny falling, where she then finds herself in front of two infected, which may actually not be infected, we'll soon figure out why, where she then realizes that she doesn't have her crossbow, which I'm curious what happened to it, but still. She decides to fight it with her fists. Jesus, okay, hand-to-hand combat in Piggy. But thankfully she's saved by Sheepy, who I believe lights the infected on fire, which, if it's true my suspicion that they aren't actually infected, is dark, let's just say. But still, anyway. The two of them reunite, and judging by the body language here, I am 100% convinced that those two are dating. I don't care what anyone says. Where we get just a bit of lore, that being that apparently Sheepy was attacked in the forest. And also, fun fact, Sheepy is a scientist, so that means she probably helped develop the infection. At least that's my personal belief. She pretty much just tells Bunny to shut up, and that she'll tell her later. Kind of funny, I will say. But just like the last ending, Bunny laments not being able to find her sister, where Sheepy gives her some confidence. That being that, well, her sisters were raised by her. They're going to be strong. And that no matter what happens, they'll be strong, I guess? I don't really know what I was saying here, honestly. What did I put in the script? Jesus. It may seem like a happy ending, but when Bunny grabs Sheepy's hand, I definitely got the suspicion here that this is some kind of insult solution. Well, I don't think that, like, Sheepy is the insolence. I think that the insolence has something to do with this, judged by the portal during the beginning and so on. Anyway, after that, we see them walking, and it's the same reveal as last time, that yes, no matter what, Bunny is still infected, and
Honestly, I kind of hope that this is the canon ending, because I really want to see Bunny as a character again. Anyway, so, why don't we get to the conclusion, huh? Okay, so overall, how did I feel about the character-focused? Okay, just give me one, Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, so apparently Minitoon thought it'd be funny to release an extra chapter while I was working on this video. And also announce a doggy-focused chapter, which means I have to write some of the jokes I had planned for this ending segment. Oh god, I'm gonna have to cover it, aren't I? Okay, let's do this. The chapter begins with the TSP crew arriving at a building, as we learn through dialogue that apparently they're planning on putting on a play, which is probably the weirdest thing you could want to do during a zombie apocalypse, but still. Where apparently she deserves it, which is implying that it's for Willow because this is the TSP crew. We'll soon learn why, anyway. Okay, so this map is once again unique in the way that you escape, as instead of needing to use a series of keys until eventually making it to an exit, instead you need to find a series of props and clothing to be able to put on the play. Which is actually really unique, and I'm glad to see this new, well, I guess, way to do it. It feels like a nice blending of the Decay and regular Piggy, not just via the escape method, but also via the art style. The art style is way more detailed than, well, the previous Piggy chapters, but not so detailed that it hits Decay levels. It's also way more bright. There's a lot more, well, lights that rhyme. And of course, the setting of it, which is set around Christmas. Which may not seem like a big detail, but it actually says when the infection started. It most likely started around October to December. Well, okay, well, maybe not. I mean, Piggy does have its own version of Christmas, that being Pigmas, which honestly is a way cooler name. Can we change Christmas' name to that? Anyway, the Piggy on this map also helps show the holiday theming, that being this one, which I actually really like the design of. Okay, minor complaint is how it kind of breaks the previous Piggy art style, but, well, I do kinda understand why. I mean, it's not as bad as some characters looking at you, horrified creature that I wish didn't exist. Kidding. But it still is a design that looks like it's from the Piggy universe, so yeah. This chapter also reveals some things about other characters, such as, well, their names. Well, I won't be going through the names here, but I can't pronounce them. It still is a small bit of world building, which is cool to see. Something else I must say is how accurate it is. Being someone who is an actor, it is really cool to see a Piggy chapter set inside of a theater, especially because of how accurate the map is. I swear to God, this feels like a theater that I've been in before. Well, kinda. Obviously, most of the theaters I've been in are pretty small. I've really been in the large ones, but it still is cool to see, especially the backstage areas. They look identical to a theater I've been in, actually. So, props to Minitoon for doing his research. Okay, so this is also a minor complaint I have, though. There are some weird things in the map. This, specifically what I'm talking about here, is the axe. I don't know what it is about this one, that in the katana, but you hold it in just a really weird way that just does not look polished at all. And the fact that this chapter has been out for a while and yet it has not had this mistake fixed is kind of sad. But still, it's really not that big of a deal, honestly. Anyway, before we close off here, one smaller thing I like
is how every single time you're switching between TSP members. When you die, you switch between them, allowing us to play as almost every single one. I'm sorry, my brother just screamed. Anyway, if I had to give the level of ranking, I'm putting this shit at S tier, okay? This is a perfect finale to not only Piggy, well, pre-Inner City Piggy at least, and just in general, this video. Anyway, after you escape, we see Kitty as she drags Willow into, well, a makeshift feeder that the TSP members have put together. You then see Findley in this fantastic tuxedo. Oh my. They got that in size whatever the hell I am. Anyway, where he proceeds to compliment Willow. Once again bringing up my point that Willow wasn't a bad person. At least, not sometimes. She definitely was not a good person, but she was I guess, morally ambiguous? Anyway. The show proceeds to go on with all the things that Willow has done for the crew. Specifically, beginning with a panda who I don't know the name of. Where we learn that apparently she was inside the store as, well, danger approached, as they say. And Willow arrives and saves her, which is nice. Where we then get to actually see a flashback of the moment, which is really cool to see. The next person we get to see's backstory is Kitty, where Willow had arrived to search for resources, because a mall is definitely not going to get ransacked during an apocalypse. Jokes aside, where they then get attacked by Robbie, where then they manage to defeat Robbie and save Kitty, where then we get to see another flashback to, well, this moment. Seeing them running out of the mall as Robbie runs at them, but Willow manages to stop him with a door. Honestly, I guess that makes sense. I don't really think a gun would be very effective against a robot. Next person we get to learn about is the bear. I don't really know his name. Where apparently they just met in the forest. There really isn't much to say about this one, honestly. The next person we get to see is another character I don't really know the name of, where we learn about how Will saved her again. Honestly, she saves a lot of these people, which honestly I think just shows how good of a person she is. Anyway, where we also get to see Barry again. Man, the nightmare fuel never ends, now does it? She fucking shoots him, Jesus. Anyway, the play goes to shit, and we finally learn about, well, why exactly they're putting this on. Turns out, after Pony left, Willow was saddened. Which, I mean, makes sense. Willow was... Fuck Willow. Okay, the Pony. After Pony left, Willow has been depressed because of it. And so they decide to help cheer her up, which is good. Where Willow applauds them and stuff. Honestly, most of this part isn't really interesting. Though it is nice to see Willow be happy for once. Where after some really nice credits, we actually get an after credits, which shows our current day. Yeah, like the modern day, like inner city time. Where we get to see Willow and Tigray are still together. As she reminisces on that day. Where they just talk for a little bit about how there are new types of infected out there. Perhaps a hint towards inner city. Anyway, where that's really all that really happens, honestly, but still, this is really exciting to see. Anyway, so there are no more interruptions for this video. Let's get to the actual ending of the video with our conclusion. Okay, so after many delays, like, believe me, there have been so many delays during this video's production. I mean, I had a running joke planned about Doggy being the only character who never gets a character-focused chapter, but then they announced a character-focused chapter for him, so yeah. Anyway, so does Piggy still matter? Of course it does.
I mean, why would I dedicate months of my life to edit, record, script? I'm kidding, I barely have a script. I barely followed it, honestly. Those are 2 weeks I could have spent doing anything else. Anyway, so yeah, of course it still holds up, and I think I figured out why I keep on coming back to it. I think it's the story, obviously. I mean, 50% of this video was the story and me analyzing it. Sure, okay, Piggy may not have the best gameplay, and some of its best work may have only come out recently, but it still holds up pretty well. And because of that, I have faith in Inner City. Sure, Inner City could be the worst game ever, but at least we have this game. This game that has stuck with me for 6 years now. Jesus. And shit, when Piggy came out, I was still in school. Now, my god, I'm really getting old. But, yeah. This video was primarily made to look at it from a Inner City perspective. As tomorrow, we are getting the Inner City demo. Well, the new demo. We've had a demo before that, but the brand new spangled one that has all the actual content. So, I'm excited to see what happens here. So, yeah. One final thing I'll say is that Piggy is my favorite Roblox game. Even knowing I've played better games. But this one game is my favorite. And I have a feeling it will be my favorite for all time. Or at least till Inner City comes out. Maybe Inner City will ruin the franchise in my eyes. I mean, that's what one bad analogy can do. Anyway, did you completely disagree with me? Did you think that Carnival is the greatest map ever? Or do you think that I was way too soft on some of the later on chapters? Then go ahead and inform me. I'm be excited to see your criticism towards my videos. I mean, that's the only way I'm gonna improve. Anyway, I've been your host, Ignited Knight, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!